like the dude just said. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to Wednesday. It really is. It's live. We're here. It's Wednesday. That means we got to hear from the camel. Hit it, man.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
It is indeed. All day long, it is hump day. Thank you very much. But yeah, it's good doings, and it's also good to be back in the studio. I feel like I've been playing hooky for days. What happened?
It has felt like that.
Where have we been?
Well, we got apparently cyber attacked by the CCP or something yesterday for not having a show. But yeah, it's weird.
It is weird. But here, and by the way, that's JP on the board. So we're back.
We're back.
There wasn't any buttons that we didn't push. It was just something that, like, I'll go and throw them under the bus. AT&T had an outage.
Well, we had a listener actually text in when we sent out the mass text. We were going to be off for that, and he said that he had to go home from work for the same reason. So it wasn't just us.
There you go.
It's crazy.
All I know is it felt weird.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be here and I wasn't. So anyway, nonetheless, we're back with you and glad of it. We got a great show laid on for you. Coming up top of hour number 2, we got Congressman Dale Strong calling in. I suspect he's going to talk about Space Command. Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk with Congressman Dale Strong at the top of hour number 2. Stand by for that. And then, yes, indeed, coming up at the beginning of hour number 3, as always on Hump Day, we got the Grand Council with my brethren Jeff Poore and Dale Jackson. So there's that. And then we, by the way, have a triple dipper still filled up with stuff. So hit it, man.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. First out the gate, we're going to talk about the war on the cartels. This is big doings, y'all. I mean, this is like major big doings. The war on the cartels. Did you know, by the way, we have like 4,500 U.S. service members now poised off the shores of Venezuela? Yes. Did you know we just blew up a drug boat yesterday? Yes. Did you know that Trump has named a number of these cartels to be enemies of the state? Well, there you have it. War on the cartels. We'll talk about the details of that. Number 1 on the Triple Dipper. Number 2, yeah, in conjunction with that conversation with Congressman Dale Strong, we're going to cook up a batch of home fries. Oh, man, I got some news. I got all kinds of things, but I think the one that trumps all of them is the one that was announced yesterday in the Oval Office. Space Command. Oh, boy. We'll talk about it. That's number 2 on the Triple Dipper, some home fries. And then number 3, yes, indeed, we're going to get to one that I wanted to get to the other day, but it's very significant right now. The Freedom Caucus is one of the most conservative groups of members of Congress, and they're starting to lose some of their numbers. Kind of technically for all the right reasons, but they're literally losing some of their strength. And I wonder what's going to happen to the Freedom Caucus. And by the way, can we have a Freedom Caucus right here in Alabama in our state legislature? I got answers for that. Freedom Caucus, number 3 on the Triple Dipper. All right, let me jump on into today's Rightside Way opening monologue. I'll remind you guys, as always, that the Rightside Way monologue is brought to you by attorney Stan McDonald. Stan McDonald, 30-year veteran in the practice of law. Oh, by the way, longtime conservative. I'll tell you more about Stan here momentarily. So let me just start by saying war drums are pounding again. Look, I've been on the air now for 4 years, right? Over 4 years, actually. And in that 4 years, I have commented multiple times on armed conflict around the world. Well, just since Rightside Radio went live in the summer of 2021, I provided commentary on the debacle pullout from Afghanistan, the onset and the continuation of the war in Ukraine, the conflicts in Syria, the October 7th massacres in Israel, followed by the wars against Hamas and Hezbollah, the U.S. bombing of Houthi rebels, the Iranians launching major missile strikes against Israel, and most recently, there was a conflict with Iran that took on a new and devastating escalation as Israel began a bombing campaign to destroy their nuclear capabilities, and the U.S. joined in and crushed the nuclear facilities at Natanz and Isfahan. Look, it's not a quiet world is my point. It's not. It's not a quiet world, and there have been wars and rumors of wars since the beginning of time. And the interesting dynamic, though, is that rarely, in the midst of all of that, rarely have we seen in recent history an armed conflict in the Western Hemisphere. I mean, there have been some, though, but they've been limited in scope and were generally quick in their operations. But watch the horizon, my friends, because something new is happening. War drums are beating, and they are here in our part of the world. Just in the last few days, the president has ordered the deployment of a naval strike group to deploy near the coastline of Venezuela. We've got 4 guided missile destroyers, 1 cruiser, at least 1 nuclear fast attack submarine, and a Marine Expeditionary Group. There are currently no U.S. aircraft carriers in the waters off the South American nation, but keep in mind, this is only a short distance south of Puerto Rico, where we have an air base. So do we really need it? The talk around D.C. is that this is a buildup, a show of force, and direct escalation of the war on the cartels that the Trump administration all recently branded as a terrorist organization and a national security threat. Well, Venezuelan President Maduro is a dictator. He has flooded the U.S. with Tren de Aragua gang members. He has voided an election in 2024 to stay in power. He has seized U.S. assets in Venezuela, and he has nationalized U.S. production companies that were stationed there. Maduro is an avowed socialist, and most recently he's been collaborating with both Russia and China to give them greater access and influence in the Western Hemisphere. And in recent weeks, he's been accused by the U.S. government of being the point man, the head of a dangerous drug cartel called the Cartel de las Soles, or Cartel of the Sun. That provides aid and assistance to Tren de Aragua and the Sinaloa cartels to traffic drugs into the U.S., all using the power of his Venezuelan government. So the U.S. has recently posted, believe it or not, a $50 million reward to anyone who provides the necessary information leading to his arrest and conviction on charges of narco trafficking. And that's the president of Venezuela. Oh, by the way, a stone's throw from U.S. waters. So what do we know about this? And by the way, is there any history of such an act by other presidents? I mean, are we actually going to invade Venezuela? Well, the first thing you do is you look at history. And yes, this is a huge, hairy deal. This is not some faraway conflict with people that we don't identify with. This is not some effort by some tin-pot dictator to seize a little turf on the far side of the world. No, this is a U.S. military deployment right here in our own backyard. But yes, there is historical precedent. The British actually invaded their own colony in the Falkland Islands off the coast of Argentina in 1982. The Argentinian government had decided to lay claim to what they believed was their sovereign territory, so the British government under Margaret Thatcher just said flat out no. And the Falklands War lasted all of 10 weeks, and it was over. The very next year, in 1983, President Ronald Reagan launched Operation Urgent Fury to invade the Caribbean island of Grenada. Grenada, where Cuban and Soviet troops have begun establishing influence right there in our near horizons. Elements of the 82nd Airborne Division, the Ranger Regiment, along with U.S. Marines and Special Operations, they took that island by storm. They liberated Americans that were being held hostage at St. George's University in Grenada, and the invasion lasted all of 8 days. But perhaps the most significant example that parallels where we are right now is Operation Just Cause, the invasion of Panama. In 1989, the Central American nation of Panama was controlled by a strongman named Manuel Noriega. Noriega had been indicted in the U.S. on drug trafficking charges. He was accused of suppressing democracy in Panama, endangering U.S. nationals. U.S. troops stationed in Panama were under duress, and the use of the Panama Canal was being threatened. Allegations arose concerning Noriega's history as a drug trafficker, a money launderer, and most shocking, however, were reports that Noriega had been acting as a double agent for Cuba's intelligence agencies and for the Sandinistas. Well, the U.S. government disowned Noriega, and in 1988, he was indicted by federal grand juries in Tampa and Miami on drug smuggling and money laundering charges. And in 1989, the Panamanian dictator annulled a presidential election that would have made another man, a guy named Guillermo Endara, president. So U.S. President George H. Bush, he ordered additional troops to the Panama Canal Zone, and on December 16th of 1989, an off-duty U.S. Marine was shot to death at a Panamanian Defense Force roadblock. And the next day, President Bush authorized Operation Just Cause, the U.S. invasion of Panama to overthrow Noriega. So on December 20th of 1989, just short of 36 years ago, 9,000 U.S. troops joined the 12,000 U.S. military personnel that were already in Panama. The 82nd Airborne and the Ranger regiments once again parachuted in. Multiple other U.S. military organizations, both conventional and special operations, all participated. And they were met with scattered resistance from the Panamanian Defense Force. But by December 24th, just a few days later, the PDF was crushed and the U.S. held most of the country. And Endara, the man who had actually won the recent election, was made president by U.S. forces, and he ordered the PDF to be dissolved. On January 3rd, just a couple of weeks later, Noriega himself was arrested by U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency agents extradited to the U.S. for trial. In 1992, Noriega was found guilty on 8 counts of drug trafficking, racketeering, and money laundering, making the first time in history that a U.S. jury had convicted a foreign leader of criminal charges. And he was sentenced to 40 years in federal prison, but eventually he was extradited to Panama, where he died in a Panamanian City jail hospital on May 29th of 2017. I say all that to say, think about what I just told you. Operation Just Cause, a dictator, a drug trafficker, a threat to our U.S. national interests and national security, a strongman who voided elections to stay in power, followed by the Panamanian invasion. Then compare that to where we are today. U.S. forces staging off the coast of Venezuela, a dictator, a drug trafficker, a threat to national interests and national security, a strongman who voided elections to stay in power. I'm telling you, the parallels are ominous, and they are real. And Trump is a man of history, if you know what I'm saying. He knows what has happened before, and he knows what's happening now. And there will be reports in the coming days that will be very telling. I'm not going to be surprised to see one of two things. Either the beleaguered people of Venezuela will rise up and overthrow their dictator, or the U.S. is going to remove him somehow. But in my opinion, the cards are not there for Maduro to stay in much longer. So what are the second and third order effects here? Well, number one, it's a strong deterrent to the drug cartels when they see their benefactors being deposed. It's a mission of the Trump administration to take the fight right now directly to the cartels, and this would be a major signal that Trump is not mincing words. Number two, this would be a strong signal to Mexico, Colombia, and other Central and South American nations that we as a nation are through letting instability and reckless trafficking endanger the U.S. in our own backyard. Mexico is going to have to decide if it's better for them to align themselves with the cartels or to work with their big neighbor to the north. And I think we know what the better solution would be, especially if we see Maduro being deposed. And thirdly, I will say this. This is a signal to Russia and China that we are no longer the passive version of Biden's America that sat idly by and let the malign forces that hate us set up shop in our own neighborhood. Because yes, China and Russia have been very active in Venezuela. The Trump Neighborhood Watch is fully engaged. It is not going to be quiet, and China and Russia are going to have to make some decisions and change some plans. Look, I've said before, there's that old axiom that dates back to the 4th century of Rome. Sivi pacem para bellum. It means if you want peace, you prepare for war. And that, by the way, is not a warmongering, overly hawkish view seeking a call to arms. It's not. I'm a soldier who's been to war. I don't want to see it again. But it is just a view of history. It's the knowledge that one cannot sit idly by, sit quietly in a playground filled with bullies and come out okay unless the bullies know that you're the one carrying the big stick. History is replete with obvious parallels to where we are right now. And some of them are very recent in time. Invasion of Panama. Keep your eyes on the horizon, my friends. We better not get into a reclusive and isolationist mindset and forget that to ensure our best defense, we must show the capability of force projection and overwhelming capacity. Sivi pacem para bellum. That's a wrap for the Right Side Way. Well, it is. I mean, the more I looked at this, I thought, my gosh, this is like the escalation to the Panama invasion all over again. Now, granted, one of the things about the Panama invasion was how quickly it went and how quickly it was over. But right now, Maduro looks an awful lot like Noriega. I'm just telling you, everything is in place, and I believe the legal standing is there. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. We just recorded an amazing podcast with former Navy SEAL Jared Hudson, who now hunts down human traffickers. He's also got a personal story that involves a lot of overcoming and a ton of faith. So listen, I can't encourage you enough. Go ahead and sit down. Make yourself ready for the Just Right podcast. In this case, with Jared Hudson. Yeah, let's do a show.
1, 2, 3, hey!
Jared Hudson, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother.
I'm glad to have you and appreciate you making time. So I'm going to do sort of an intro so folks know exactly who I've got sitting across the table from me right now. But so you're born and raised here in Alabama, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, born in Lynchburg, Virginia, and when I was about 4 or 5, we moved here. So, but yeah, pretty much born and raised.
So you're a
here.
carpetbagger. You came down from up north.
Came down from up north. Came down from just below the Mason-Dixon line now. So still technically the South.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Bottom line though, grew up to become a Navy SEAL. That was your career. Team 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
Sniper qualified.
Yep, sniper.
You're also APO certified, Alabama,
Alabama
Police Officer Standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. certified law enforcement officer.
Yep.
Spent time in law enforcement, even ran for sheriff of the largest county in the state of Alabama, Jefferson
Hey,
County.
I was the sheriff runner-up is what I like to say because it
You
makes
were-
me feel better.
You were actually the Republican choice. How about that?
There you go. How about that?
And I'll be honest with you, too. We'll talk about that more later. But as a longtime member of the Republican Party and a former elected official myself, I watched your race. And you were in a blue county running a red race, and you took him to the wire. And I think that says a lot.
Yeah, about 1%. And I lost by about 1.5%, I think, is what it came down to.
It was way close, and I think he was scared.
Yeah.
And he should have been. All right, there's that. You ran for sheriff. You love the Lord. You make no bones about it.
Only thing that matters.
Perfect. Which also leads me to you got a beautiful wife and 3 daughters.
I do, yep.
And I think those 2 are the crowning pieces of your resume.
They are, so I've got the wife, the 3 girls, and, obviously my faith first and foremost, even above them. Jesus says, if you don't hate your family, then you don't have a love for me. It doesn't mean that I actually hate my family because I'm called to draw them to Christ, but my love for him even supersedes my love for them, and my love for them is unbelievably great. I'd burn the world down for those girls, and so that's how I feel. So imagine what I do for Jesus, if that makes sense.
And you're trained to burn the world down.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Don't mess with my daughters because I'm gonna die trying.
I'm for that.
Yeah.
You now run, having spent time in the teams, you're out civilian world. You now run 2 companies, the Shooting Institute and Covenant Rescue Group.
Yep.
And we'll get into both of those in a minute. But I think suffice to say, your previous resume has translated well into what you're doing in the civilian world.
It has, yeah. The time in the SEAL teams is what prepared me, but also gave me, it's like the little bit of bait on the hook. And you still have to set the hook, but that's what gets people interested in who I am. Because SEAL, I'm just a regular dude like anybody else, but SEAL is a thing that people look at and they're like, wow, like you hear doctor, you hear lawyer, you hear politician, congressman, senator. Those things carry some weight because it takes something to get there, and I think that's what SEAL has done for me.
I think that's fair to say, and I think there's never going to be a time in your life, I'm of the mind, that God doesn't plant something in your life with purpose beyond what you might have imagined it.
100%, man. 100%.
You also, apparently, like every other SEAL, you wrote a book.
Yeah, that's right. Now, all my other SEAL buddies say, I didn't write a book, bro. You wrote a pamphlet. It's only like 50 pages long. But yeah,
it works. It publishes.
Yeah, that's right.
And you also, by the way, right here with Rightside, you're one of our podcasters.
Yeah,
you got the Liberty Minute podcast, comes out every other week for the most part. Yeah.
I told a guy told me, he said, "Oh man, you're that guy on the Liberty Minute with Phil Williams." I said, yeah, man, my name's Jared. Nice to meet you. I know exactly who you are. I got one question though. Why do you call it the Liberty Minute? Because it's like 13 to 17 minutes every time. And I said, look, it's just a name, bro.
It's a euphemism,
yeah,
man.
It's just a name. So I thought it was pretty good though.
All right, cool resume. Let me ask you this. You got a beautiful family, amazing military record. You live large. How and I'm going to start off, I'm going to get philosophical right off the bat. So having said all that, those things, like on paper, I see it all. But how do you want to be remembered? Yeah,
no, I mean, the only thing that you should be remembered as is who are you in the person of Jesus Christ, because that's the only thing that lasts, right? Now, if I die right now, I'm going to be attached. I'm going to have a lasting impact, even in my death, on my wife and my girls. Possibly some of the people in my sphere of influence, possibly some of the guys in the SEAL teams I work with or in business or whatever. I might have a lasting impact. But oftentimes that lasting impact is not so much, it's not so much who you are here physically. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I really believe it's who you are in the person of Jesus Christ. Because they look at it and say, man, that guy really was who he believed in.
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Just man, I mean, like saving the world one soundbite at a time. And let me grab a few of these text messages. Oh my gosh, the text lines are coming alive. So text it, call it 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. So Dave from Capshaw says, since you've been off for 4 days, I guess the hump day camel will have to eat meatloaf tacos.
That's good.
I don't know. That caught me just That caught me just right. Allie from Athens says, in the timeless words of Ronald Reagan, peace through strength seems quite appropriate. As someone who literally lived in the middle of cartel country, I say bring it. Yeah, Allie, I remember you telling me some stories, sister, and yes, I agree. Clint from Tony, Alabama says, Phil, glad to have you back live. Said a friend of mine who was at the time a U.S. Marshal had the opportunity to share his witness of Christ with Manuel Noriega. As far as I know, he did not surrender his heart, but perhaps he did at some point. Said my friend has since gone home to be with the Lord. Clint from Tony. That's a cool story. Thanks, Clint. Appreciate you, man. And I appreciate your friend, too. Scott from Russellville says, yet another thought-provoking monologue, Brother Phil. What is the old saying that those who fail to learn from history are forced to repeat it? Yep. That's it, man. And listen, it's not just that, but I think what you're also looking at is, in my opinion, Trump is relying upon history as his precedent. Now, Trump will blaze a trail when he needs to, but he recognizes, I think it was, and I've got it in one of my stack of stuff here, that it was Bill Barr, who wrote a legal opinion on the 1989 invasion of Panama that gave President Bush the legal authority to do what he did. And I guarantee you that Trump's legal team has already reviewed that. So there's that. We got any number of things I got to cover, but I tell you what, first thing I got to do before I forget is I got to talk about Stan McDonald. So JP, give me the high side. I'll give you credit, JP. Thank you, bro. So hey, attorney Stan McDonald. Oh, by the way, Stan McDonald is a partner at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee, a 30-year veteran in the practice of law in North Alabama. Oh, by the way, did I mention that Stan McDonald's also your daily sponsor of the Rightside Way monologue? Yes, he is. You know why? Because he's like an OG ruffian from way back, a longtime conservative, been in the mix, in the fray, in the trenches on all the policies and the politics that right-side ruffians care about for like years. But he's also a great attorney, and Stan McDonald has represented his clients in literally thousands of real estate transactions over the years. He can represent you in any local, state, or federal court. I like to say, if Stan McDonald's on your side, you're going to have no greater friend. Likewise, your adversaries would have no greater foe. So, need a lawyer in North Alabama? I'm going to tell you how to reach him. Phone number. You ready? Attorney Stan McDonald. The law firm is Wilmer and Lee. He's an America First family man. Here's the number: 256-479-3020. That's Stan McDonald, 256-479-3020. Tell him you heard about it on Rightside Radio. And oh, by the way, no representation made the quality legal services is bad at all, but I think it's really good. I like Stan McDonald. So what do you think of that? Shabam. How you like me now?
Right on the money, right on time, too.
Nice. All right. Game on. We'll come right back from this break. I'm going to jump right into the dipper so I can get some stuff out there. War on the cartels. That's what we're talking about. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back.
Makes sense. So it's and I believe it's in James. He talks about, I'll show you my faith through my works. That's not a works-based salvation. Right. He's not saying that I'm working my way to heaven. I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, and that's going to get me to heaven. No, he's just saying, I have faith and I believe in Jesus, and because of that, you're going to see my fruits. My fruits are going to show that I believe in Jesus. Now, there's another aspect of that without getting too far off on this topic. You hear a lot of people say, oh, I let people see who Jesus is through how I live my life, right? That's what, I don't necessarily tell everybody about Jesus, but they get to see who Jesus is through how I live my life. Well, that's not good either, because Paul says, how will they hear if they don't have a preacher to preach? So there's two aspects to that. There's one, what I say, right? Scripture says a freshwater spring doesn't produce salt water. What I say is unbelievably important. But then once I say it, it's my actions that back it up. It's words, then action. And we see that with God. John chapter 1, in the beginning was the Word, right? Wasn't in the beginning was the action, was the creation. No, in the beginning was the Word was God, the Word was with God. And then all was made through Him and by Him, and without Him, nothing was made. We see that in John chapter 1. First was the Word, what He spoke, what we speak. Then second is the actions that back up what we speak. And ultimately see in John chapter 4 or John chapter 1 verse 14, the Word became flesh and dwelt among men, right? And we see that in Isaiah. He says, I was amazed. God was amazed that there was none who could stand before Him. He's talking about when He was drawing the plan to create the world. None could intercede for man, so He said, I'll take up my own strong arm of salvation. So God says, I'm going to make a world where sin is possible, I'm not going to make them sin, but I'm going to give them the option. And guess what? I know they're going to choose sin. And there's none that are going to be able to stand before him, but I'm going to make a way out of sin, and it's going to be through me. That's what God says, and that's who we should be.
That's
so
1
the lasting
10:13.
That's right. So that's a lasting impact. The lasting impact is when I die, when I'm gone, when anybody looks, was Jared Hudson, was his actions, how he raised his kids, who the husband he was to his wife, how he was to his friends, the guys he went to war with, the guys that he worked with here, stateside law enforcement. Did his actions match the words that he said? And those are the two important things. So when I'm remembered, I want to be remembered as a guy whose actions matched my words, because ultimately that should, as a Christian, that should give not honor and glory to me, that gives honor and glory to God. That guy really was who he believed in.
I think that's awesome. And let me ask you this, because I'm going to chase a rabbit for a minute. I just heard probably 5 times in the last couple of minutes you quoting scripture. So, like me
Loosely quoting scripture.
Okay, it wasn't too awful of a paraphrase, but most of it was pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And also when you said that, it would click verses in my mind. I think I responded back a minute ago, 1 Corinthians 10:13.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer in memorizing scripture. My personal, I call it my life verse, is Joshua 1:8-9. And it says, "This book of the law shall not depart from you. You shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may do what is written in it, and by this achieve prosperity and success." So let me ask you this. Is the memorization of scripture something that's happened just because it was ingrained over time, or do you have a deliberate attempt on a regular basis to put it to memory?
Man, I just read it, if I'm being honest.
It just sticks?
Yeah, just read it. What'd you say?
Does it just stick? I mean, when you
Oh,
read it,
does
it
it
stay?
stick? Yeah,
Or do you
so-
intentionally try to memorize it?
No, I don't intentionally try to memorize it. It's just I think it's just the natural outcome of of reading the word. You can, and when I was a kid, we did Awanas. I think it was
Oh,
what
yeah.
my dad. Yes, we did Awanas. Not
Must've been
far from
Raised
here.
Baptist.
Rainbow City First Baptist, right
That's
up,
right.
up the road here. And so we would memorize verses as a kid that would stick. And having a dad that was a pastor, my parents they never forced us to do anything, but we would read scripture, and we'd read it as a family. And I think all my brothers and sisters do the same thing. We spend time in our Bible. It's a part of our life because it was ingrained into us at a young age.
Yeah.
Proverbs says, train up a child in the way they'll go, and when they're
Yeah.
old, they won't depart from it. And so I think there's an aspect of that to whoever I see it with my daughters, with my girls. We'll do memory verses, and we'll read stories, and we'll do Bible stories at night before they go to bed. So I do believe that's important. However,
Just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Covering down on some major ground across the Southeast US of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show, this one. Goes from like Huntsville back over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. All the way down to that loveliest little village on the plains we call Auburn, straight across the line from there to what we call once again Fort Benning. And then big old patches of North Georgia and Mississippi all thrown in just for good measure. And that's just the radio. And then, oh, by the way, there's a whole bunch of y'all, the whole wide world, going to the World Wide Web, dialing us in every single day on the live stream, which a bunch of y'all are doing today. Live stream, looking in the studio, listen to the sound. Oh, by the way, there's a ton of y'all that also podcast it. And thank you very much for that. Listen, I say all that to say, wherever you are and however you catch this show, it means the world to us that you do. So thank you very much. We appreciate you. There's no reason to do this if it weren't for y'all. So there's that. John from Huntsville said, Phil, awesome monologue. Also, did you hear they were handing out free Powerball lottery tickets to hundreds of people in Chicago? I did not. By the way, JP, were me and Lee Corso the only two people in the world to pick Florida State, Ohio State, and LSU to win their opening games? By the way, we haven't talked football yet, JP. We haven't
What
talked
about football?
JP, football.
What's that?
Football's big last weekend.
What are you talking about? What? The
I'm just-
Texas Ohio State game?
That
That was a big game. Yeah.
That was a big game.
Yeah.
That was a big game.
Clemson LSU had a really good game
Yeah,
that night
Auburn
as
Baylor
well.
was a pretty good game too. Friday night, I enjoyed
Well,
that
that
game.
was Friday night. Yeah.
That was Friday night.
Yeah.
That's a weekend. Friday night is part of the weekend.
For high school teams, maybe.
Jeez. Okay, I see how this is going to go. Well, now let's talk about the Bama game. I mean, how you feeling, JP? You over it yet? Are you ready to fire Kellen DeBoer? Are you done? Are you throwing him out the towel?
I mean, I'm a little more tame on Wednesday than I was earlier in the week. However,
I started to text you during the game. I thought, no, I won't do that.
I do have thoughts and concerns moving forward. But I'm not quite on the fire Kalen DeBoer boat yet, but I am on the very concerned boat.
Yeah, you're on the very concerned boat.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you switch boats at some point? I mean, do you...
No, and I was Kalen DeBoer's biggest supporter last year, but I don't know, the way we lost that game, it did not look like a Bama team. It looked like a team that got physically pushed around, and I think that's what's concerning.
I thought Ty Simpson looked like he was struggling. He wasn't getting much help from his line either.
No, I think that Ty made some great plays, but also looked pretty evident that it was Ty's first game starting. But I mean, the defense, the lack of effort, the lack of intensity was just embarrassing. I think that's what's worrisome. That did not look like a Saban coach team because it's not a Saban coach team.
I'm not going to let you filibuster the entire time talking about Alabama losing.
Yeah.
So let me just say, I thought Jackson Arnold did a great job for Auburn on Friday night. I think he started off slow, like halfway through the first quarter. He somehow found his feet. I thought he played up.
He played good. Yeah,
legs.
He played good. I do have to say, I don't know how good Baylor is, but they did play good.
Apparently FSU was unranked too.
They shouldn't have been. FSU is much better than I said that. Tommy Castellanos is a stud. But yeah, Jackson Arnold did play very good. I will say that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Austin played pretty good too. Austin for Auburn.
Oh, Austin. Yeah. It was a good game for them for sure.
It was a good game.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I'm glad you said so.
Hey.
Next text was Jack from Huntsville. Jack in Huntsville says, I've worked on numerous weapon systems that have been used in action. The very first one was when they fired a Hellfire missile in Operation Just Cause. Keep America strong. Man, thanks, Jack. Appreciate your service, too. Thank you very much. Just so you know, my dad, JP's granddad, actually worked on the early stages of the Hellfire missile, and it was amazing to me to be downrange myself in the global war on terror and know that overhead were, attack helicopters carrying Hellfire missiles that my dad helped develop. That was very cool. Jeff from Indiana says, hey, Phil, could Venezuela become a new territory of the United States? At least they have a lot of oil. They could carry their own weight. There's that. I hadn't thought of that. Steve from Tennessee says, a memorial to our 18 fallen troops in Grenada is located right beside the airport. It's in bad shape, and our embassy there should work to repair and paint it. It is sadly embarrassing. Did not know that, but yes, they should. That should not be allowed to be a thing. Steve, thanks. Adam from Athens says, JP, let's go Vols.
Not much else to say.
Jerry from Decatur says, really enjoyed your monologue, Phil. Every American has a right to have their constitutional right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness wherever they are in the world, including soldier, cop, civilian, or baby in the womb. And that's how true Americans value its citizens. Politics do make a difference, though. Remember Benghazi and Grenada, airborne. Jerry, thanks, man. Hey, listen, let's talk about this war on the cartels. By the way, coming up here in about 20 minutes, we're going to have Congressman Dale Strong calling in. So I'm going to be switching topics with him, I'm sure, and I want to get some of this out about the drug cartels. So this has just happened. I've got this piece here from August 8th. I believe this came from the Federalist, but I'm not positive because it's not labeled. But anyway, the bottom line is this particular piece clearly says that in August, and I talked about it back then, but I want to remind you guys, August 8th, so just 3.5 weeks ago, President Trump secretly signed they said secretly, the bottom line is what he did was he quietly signed a directive to the Pentagon to begin using military force against certain Latin American drug cartels. They were deemed terrorist organizations. I think that's fair. I think that's a good designation. I think it's high time. It's beyond time that happened. This is now considered the most aggressive step so far in the administration's escalating campaign against cartels. I agree with that point. The order also provides an official basis for the possibility of direct military operations at sea and on foreign soil. That's going to be interesting. But again, if you heard the monologue a moment ago, the parallels to what we're seeing develop against Venezuela right now in the court of public opinion, in the legal realm, in the intelligence arena, and in the massing of military, you're watching what is almost eerily the same as what happened with Panama. Even Maduro, the president of Venezuela, looks an awful lot like Manuel Noriega in terms of what he was doing and, consorting with our enemies, both of them, voiding elections to stay in power, both of them, socialist to the core, both of them. Threatening U.S. interest, both of them. And drug trafficking, which harms the United States, both of them. And I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, I think Maduro's now been indicted also. The U.S. government put a $50 million reward out, a $50 million reward for anyone who provides information that leads to the conviction, the arrest and conviction of Nicolas Maduro. So let's keep in mind that right now you've got, in February of this year, State Department designated Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and several other groups as transnational threats. They were considered to be national security threats that were beyond just traditional organized crime, right? But 2 weeks ago, I take it back, this will be 6 weeks ago based on this article. 6 weeks ago, the Trump administration added a group called Cartel de las Soles. And Cartel de las Soles, or Cartel of the Suns, is now a specially designated global terrorist group, which is believed to be headed by none other than President Nicolas Maduro. It's the use of the Venezuelan government to assist in drug trafficking. And Maduro and high-ranking officials in Venezuela have now been tied by U.S. intelligence to this Cartel of the Suns. There have been some apologists out there saying, there's no proof, there's no nothing, they're not growing coca plants no, they're trafficking through. They're using the conduit of Venezuela as their means of transporting across open waters into the U.S. So I say all that to say we're starting to see other things. Piece here from, I pulled this off the usembassy.gov website. July 25th, the Treasury Department, the United States Treasury Department, the Department of Foreign Assets and Controls sanctioned Cartel de las Soles and named them as a specially designated global terrorist group for the purposes of seizing assets. So what you're watching right now is the legal and geopolitical framework being put in place, stacking the deck against Maduro and what's going on. There's going to be a capitulation, or there's going to be something that removes him from office. I guarantee it. Maduro's not going to stay in there in his current state. He's not. And I don't say that like I'm looking for the 82nd Airborne to go parachute in again, although I guarantee you there's some guys at Bragg itching to do it. What I'm saying is, I think what you're going to wind up seeing is international pressure. I think sanctions are about to hit. I think you're going to see a few more drug boats being blown up. And I think you're going to wind up seeing Maduro realizing the jig is up, and some of his cartel buddies are going to say, get out. You're bringing too much heat. And sooner or later, he's going to wind up having to go quietly away to Russia and live in a dacha by the Black Sea. Maduro, Fox News has a piece that came out 2 days ago. I hold it here in my calloused former paratrooper hands. Maduro claims the U.S. is seeking regime change. Well, friggin' right they are. The question is how? Like I said a moment ago, we're not talking about a military invasion per se. But what we are talking about is we will continue to interdict in open waters if you're trafficking drugs out of your country. We will seize your assets. We will make you a global pariah. You will be persona non grata in much of the world. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's long overdue. Venezuela has been a problem, a thorn in our side. Think about this. We have U.S. oil drilling interests down there, and the country of the government of Venezuela nationalized them and seized them. So you have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of drilling rights, contracts, equipment, personnel, all of it. And the country of Venezuela decided one day, they woke up and said, that's going to be ours. We're going to take that. Those are U.S. companies, and they seized them. Military deployments are being authorized by President Donald Trump in an effort to disrupt cartel activity as part of the broader border policies. However, Maduro said the buildup is nothing but an intervention in his country's affairs. Listen, we don't care about his country's affairs. His country is just gone to hell in a handbasket. Socialism never works, and they're proving it once again. Tren de Aragua runs whole sections of that country. He's been exporting people out of his jails to get them off his hands. He's been sending his troubles north to the United States. What we do care about is when we have violence and drug trafficking harming U.S. citizens. And that's what we're talking about. So I now have in my hot little hands a piece that came out 4 days ago. 7 U.S. warships, according to New York Post. 7 U.S. warships carrying 4,500 service members, including 3 guided missile destroyers and a nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine, are in the region, expected to arrive in Venezuelan waters or thereabouts in the coming week. The Pentagon has not disclosed any specifics of the mission or threatened to invade. And that's true. There's been no intoning that we're coming ashore. I mean, there's no calls for blood and steel, right? But what we do see is what happened yesterday. And JP, if you got that video, JP is going to put up, for those of y'all watching the live stream right now, JP is putting up on the screen a picture of a drug running boat in the waters off Venezuela. It came off Venezuelan shores, and U.S. military took that sucker out and just like killed it. It's done. It's gone. How long is this video? Does it say?
It's about up. There it goes right
There
there.
it went. There it went. Drug boat. No more drug boat. The president actually shared a video of it himself on Truth Social, confirming the blast occurred in the Southcom area of responsibility, which basically, if you're not familiar, Southcom is the U.S. Combatant Command that has Central and South America as its area of operations. Says the strike resulted, said the president, the strike resulted in 11 terrorists killed in action. No U.S. forces were harmed in the strike. Please let this serve as a notice to anybody even thinking about bringing drugs to the United States of America. Beware. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Representative Carlos Jimenez, a Republican of Florida, added that the vessel belonged to the cartel the Suns. Jimenez says, this is going swimmingly. We continue. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters that cocaine and fentanyl being shipped from Venezuela often end up in Puerto Rico first. If you look at a map, by the way, Puerto Rico is just north of the Venezuelan waters. This is all in the Caribbean area. So this is really close to our shores. This is not far away. Trump has said there are many drug boats coming out of Venezuela, claiming that terrorists are acting under the control of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. He says that Tren de Aragua is a designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro, responsible for mass murder, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, acts of violence, and terror across the United States and the Western Hemisphere. I'm just telling you, man, this is not rhetoric. It's not rhetoric when you put fast attack submarines off the coast. That's not rhetoric anymore. It's reached a new level. To the extent that I don't know where it's going, but I do believe that Maduro is not long for office. We got to take a break. We'll take that break right now. We'll come right back, put a wrap on this. But I'm telling you, folks, watch your southern horizons, because what is happening in the waters off Venezuela right now is reaching an epic scale. Bill Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My parents' faith is not my faith. My parents' faith is not what's going to get me into heaven. My dad's faith wasn't my mom's faith. My mom's faith wasn't her kid's faith. So we have our own faith in the person of Jesus Christ. So I do believe that you can't always lean on your mom and dad if they were Christians or if they were not Christians. You're going to answer for what you do. And what does that mean? When I say what you do, how do I transact with the person of Jesus Christ? Faith is not a work. I can have faith in the person of Jesus Christ and accept what he's done for me on the cross, or I can do what Pilate does, wash my hands and believe the lie that I'm innocent of this man's blood. So there is an aspect of you that is involved. Does that make sense?
There is.
Now, me being involved for just who I am, and everybody's different. Some people might write it down. Some people might memorize it. I would go on deployments, and I would just write because I could memorize better writing. I'd start in Genesis on, you're on a 6-month deployment to Afghanistan. If we weren't opping, we're watching movies. I can quote movies and all that, and my wife drives her crazy. How do you know these movies? I'm like, we watch tons of movies on deployment. And I would write just word for word, just what I was reading in my Bible. My granddaddy told me, he said, hey, read a Proverbs a day and it will make you wise. And I gave him, before one deployment, I gave him a Bible I had when I was in high school. I think the only thing I ever read was Proverbs. I'd read Proverbs a day and I would annotate it. And I gave it to him, and literally it was all marked up. And I said, I read a Proverbs a day. And he told me, he said, well, that's good, son, but I didn't mean only read Proverbs. You ought to read the rest of the Bible as well. So there's that aspect too. We pick the things that we like. And I've learned that over time. And now I do the Bible throughout the year. In about 10 months, it takes me to go through the whole Bible.
Yeah. So let me ask you. I mean,
And so it sticks.
It does stick, and obviously, I would say you definitely had some intentionality attached to it too. But let me ask you this: has there been a time? And I'm really chasing a rabbit right now. But has there been a time? Because God's word never comes back void.
Yeah.
Has there been a time when you were in the thick of something and a verse came back to you that you hadn't even thought of for a while, and it just like, wow, I needed to ponder on that for a minute?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if it's one that I'd never thought of for a while. I'll use a training example. A lot of times I hate Bud's training examples because a lot of guys that just tell Bud stories is because they have no war stories. That's what I've learned. They've never killed anybody or, actually been in combat. So the training stories I'm not big on, but this is one where this would apply, I guess. There was a Master Chief, and I believe his name was Guild, Master Chief Guild. If I remember right, I'm probably getting it wrong. I could text somebody and see. But either way, he was doing a program. He was part of a program where he would mentor Bud students as they were going through. They were trying to get numbers up because training was pretty much the same across the board. Standard the same. The percentage was the same. They increased Bud's classes. We had 366 start with ours in class 264, and 32 actually graduated SQT and got a Trident, right? So, I mean, you're looking at less than 10% by the time you get selected to go to a SEAL team. And then once you get there, now you've got, sniper school. I mean, we lost 60%, 40% of us graduated and became snipers. And these are all SEALs, right? So we lost 60% in sniper school that had to go back to a team and didn't get sniper quad. You lose, like Green Team, selection for development group, what everybody refers to as SEAL Team 6, Special Mission Unit. Those are all SEALs. A lot of them good dudes, but you'll also lose 60% of those, and 40% of those guys will become Special Mission Unit SEALs. So there's always a selection process where there's an attrition rate. Make sense? And they're trying.
Well, there should be.
As it should be.
If it was easy, everybody do it, right?
Exactly right. But what they're doing is they're trying to increase those numbers because we need more SEALs, we need more snipers, we need more guys screening for Special Mission Unit. Right. Because of the way the war was going at the time. This is 2006, and he was going through Buds with us, and he would meet with students, and he would say, "Hey guys, look, this is what people do." He would go to the NFL, go all over the place, and figure out what mindset things, and all kinds of. He'd bring it back and try to present it. He said, every warrior across, the all of history, all of the planet, all of history, had a mantra. They had something they held to, something they leaned on, whether it was their belief system in a God, whether it was their family, whether it was whatever it is as a mantra. And I'm some dumb redneck kid from Alabama, 19 years old. I didn't know what a mantra was. And he said, what's that one thing that you can hold to that will help you make it through this process? Because if you can hold to something else besides the pain that you're going through, the distress of hypothermia, cold water, getting beat and buzz, all that stuff. If you can hold to something else, you can make it through. But if you concentrate on what you're going through, you'll never make it. Right? That was kind of his.
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Oh, man, like making common sense like a superpower. Coming up here in a few minutes, yes, we do have Congressman Dale Strong calling in after the top of the hour. I got to tell you, there's a couple of things here in the wrap-up of this discussion about, U.S. warships being posted off of the coast of Venezuela. Not just any warships, but, like an entire Marine Expeditionary Unit is aboard. They've got guided missile carriers. They've got a nuclear fast attack submarine, and they just took out a drug running boat in the waters off Venezuela. So I've got a piece here from CNN, though, but this is what's going to happen. The liberal media is going to go, but is it? It's Trump. Of course they are. So CNN has a piece that came out 2 days ago. It gives you all the facts I just cited, and then it says, but. It says, but beyond the rhetoric, it is striking the White House is confronting Maduro over alleged ties to drug trafficking and not by demanding he restore democracy in Venezuela. We're not looking to run their government. We're looking to have their government stop trying to run our society with drugs and violence. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking to go and do nation building. We don't care. They want to do socialism. That's on them. But you know what the bottom line is? Don't bring your crap to our shores. That's where we are. Allegations involving the Miraflores presidential palace in cocaine trafficking existed for a decade. So why the new initiative in recent weeks? Because Trump's new in office again. That's why. I mean, is it that hard to figure out? Then they start doing the apologist thing. Bondi has not presented conclusive evidence of the Venezuelan leaders. He's been indicted. Okay. Caracas has flatly rejected the claim. Well, he's a terrorist. Of course he has. And then he goes on to say, according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes, Venezuela is not even a cocaine-producing country. That's the friggin' United Nations. So let me get this straight. We should defer our national security and care more about what the UN says. Has anyone ever seen the UN really accomplish something? Can I have some crickets? That's what I thought. So they point out there's not a lot of coca plants being grown in Venezuela. It's flowing through. That's the allegation. Colombian cocaine is being trafficked north along the Pacific coast. You've got Sinaloa cartel trafficking fentanyl and cocaine down through Venezuela into open waters, using the Pacific routes, using the Caribbean routes. Their bottom line is this. The United Nations data, they say in the CNN article, appears to contradict the White House narrative. So freaking what? The next time we wind up deferring our entire intelligence authorship to the people at the UN headquarters who don't even pay their traffic tickets in New York City, why do I care? They can say what they want to say, but the bottom line is this. We have a strong president in office right now who has decided he's sick to death of watching Americans die from fentanyl poisoning, sick to death of watching Tren de Aragua being loosed on U.S. streets. Keep in mind, Tren de Aragua, that's the group that seized an entire apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. That's the group that's been human trafficking and sex trafficking across our southern border in mass. All said and done, I'm just saying, keep your eyes on the southern horizon, my friends, because right now you got an entire Marine Expeditionary Unit, multiple guided missile carriers floating off the shores of Venezuela, and it's starting to feel a whole lot like Panama in 1989. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, coming up next. Congressman Dale Strong.
And I necessarily agree with all that, but that's what he was putting out. And so I prayed to God. I mean, I knew the one thing I held to was God as a Christian. Grew up as a Christian, right? Got saved when I was 6 years old. Asked Jesus into my heart. Like, God, what could my mantra be? I think it has to be in you. I'm here for my family, for me. I want to do this, but it's in you. What is it? It was 2 Corinthians 12:9, I believe, is the verse that says, it's when Paul was asking God, he's saying, hey, take away these thorns in my flesh, right? Whatever the issue was. Some theologians say believe it was a sight. Some people believe it was other things. But he said, take away these thorns in my flesh. He asked 3 times, and God 3 times said no. And then God says to Paul, he says, my strength, this is 2 Corinthians 12:9, my strength is sufficient for you, or my grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in your weakness. And I thought, that's it. And so that is a scripture that the Lord gave me in that time that I really I'm sure I'd read it before, but I was a young kid. It's not like it was just brought up to my mind. I remember specifically reading that as I'm praying, reading that in a Bible, in my study Bible, and being in 2 Corinthians, and that scripture stuck out at me. And so that's what all right, God, your grace is sufficient for me. Your strength will be made perfect in my weakness. And that's in that book. Buds wasn't that hard as far as a physical standard. Like I could probably even now at 40 years old pass most of the standards. I can still do the O course. I could probably do first and maybe second phase 4-mile time run times. I could probably still do the swim. It's not actually that hard. It's the continuation of it through injury, through constant work that makes it so hard. They make you bad at things that you are often good at. That's why so many athletes struggle with it. So anyway, that's probably the best example I can give of a scripture that
that's
I held
a good one.
to.
And I had when I was my first tour downrange when I was mobbing out of Bragg, we had some SEER instructors that spent time with us, and I'll never forget. And I've actually talked about this before. I don't even remember what all they told me. I don't remember how to do my search and rescue dot, but I probably could now. But the reality is, one thing that stuck out with me was he said at one point he like just stopped in the middle of it, like it was an unplanned moment, and he goes, "Hey, let me just say, if you don't already have something bigger than yourself that you believe in, you better get it right now before you go downrange, because if they ever take you, you better have something to hang on to that's more than you."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And for me, that was my faith.
Yeah.
And for me, that was mine in downrange was Psalm 91, the soldier psalm they call it.
That was my wife's on my first deployment.
And my wife's the one who gave it to me.
No,
I don't
okay.
think I even knew Psalm 91 until she gave it to me.
No, I didn't. My wife can quote it word for word still.
Absolutely.
We were married. How old was she? I think I was 21. I might have been 22, and she was 19. We got married, and 2 months later, I rolled to Afghanistan, and it was a great deployment. Man, it was the Wild West. We're killing everybody we came in contact with. Those bad guys. It was what you trained for. It's what you desired. It's what you were, going to do. It was great. Now, hindsight being 2020, it's like, should we have even really been there? Now, knowing what we've done, or at least seeing how they pulled out of Afghanistan. And but at the time, man, it's what you wanted to do as a young SEAL. And my wife, though, she knew that. She knew that what we're going into, what we were doing, and she prayed Psalm 91 every day. That was her verse.
Charlene did the same. My wife did the exact same thing. You look at my notes. That's a perfect segue. Let me do this.
No, I can't even read your notes.
Tell me. I can read I'm the only one who can read my notes.
That's important. That's the only thing that matters.
So tell me about your wife. So y'all met, and she's a team wife, obviously.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Which is not easy.
No. Yeah, she. We met. We were just talking about this the other day. I think she's 3.5 years younger than I am. I'm 39 right now, and she's about to turn 36. So we met. She was 18, and I was, whatever that would have been, 21 into 22. I had just I'd been a SEAL for like 6 months, maybe 8 months, right? I did my first.
So you were still a SEAL pup.
I was a SEAL pup, man. I was a new guy. I did my first, deployment, or what they would count as a deployment. I checked in at the end of an Iraq deployment, stayed in Germany doing working with the Group 1 leadership as they're doing a pass-through. Decompression stop is what they called it for the whole team. So I stayed there as the whole team rotated through from Iraq. And I can't remember where we went into in Iraq, but I went with a master chief. Me and just a master chief went into Iraq. We had to check in and do something, and I can't remember what we did, and then we flew over to Germany. It was only there for a week. And that's one point I like to make in these podcasts. Guys or anytime I talk, guys will be like, oh, yeah, Iraq, Afghanistan, or whatever we are. Just because I've got an Iraqi ribbon, Operation Iraqi Freedom, or whatever. You got guys that have that stuff all the time. They got their combat action badge or their combat action ribbon or whatever. Just because you were in a country where combat was happening doesn't mean that you were in combat, right? And so there is a lot of that goes on. Just because I was in Iraq doesn't mean that I was doing what the boys were doing in Salter City, that deployment. I checked in at the tail end of that, and then I went to Germany. So just because you're a part of it doesn't mean you were doing it. And there is a misconception with that a lot of times. One, with how people receive it, but also, two, with maybe even how guys present it sometimes. So there's probably I don't know. I like to make sure that that's understood. Went to Germany, went through, get back from that, and was selected to go to sniper school as a new guy, which is very rare. And so I went to sniper school, and that was when I met my wife. And
you met her at sniper school?
Yeah. So before I went to sniper school, I had to bring all the weapons that we were bringing back from. They landed at one of it might have been Fort Bragg. But they landed at one of the Army bases. I think it was Fort Bragg. They landed there. Me and another guy, a buddy of mine, I won't say his name, he's at Red Squadron still, or he was at Red Squadron. He might be, he was an instructor at Green Team not too long ago, so he might still be over there. But me and him flew out to pick up those weapons for SEAL Team 3 and escort them back to the West Coast because they landed at the East Coast at one of the Army bases. And when we flew out to pick those up, they let him fly back with them by themselves because I didn't go on leave when I graduated SQT. I checked in pretty much immediately I was at the team for like a week, painting bathrooms and doing stupid stuff, with a couple of guys. And then we went to the tail end of the Iraq deployment into that Germany thing. So they said, hey, since you didn't get to go on leave, fly over here with Chris, and y'all pick up those weapons, account for them. I helped him inventory them. He can fly back with them by himself because we're going to have somebody meet him in San Diego, and you can drive home. My mom and dad.
The dude just said solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number two. Hour number two on Hump Day. We're going to get you all the way to go home time on a Friday eventually, but right now it's the middle of the week. We're glad you're with us, and I'm going right to the phones. On the line with us right now is Congressman Dale Strong, who is the congressman for the 5th District of Alabama, which includes the northern, part of our state, including Huntsville, including Redstone Arsenal, including a major announcement. So without further ado, Congressman Dale Strong, how are you doing?
Great to be with you again, Phil. Big week for Alabama.
Yeah, it has been a big week for Alabama, man. That's just that's big doing. So I tell you what, let me just say, go ahead and take it away. Talk to us your thoughts about what happened.
Well, I'll tell you right now, we definitely got a leader at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and he's correcting something that the previous administration under Joe Biden tried to set our country up for failure. I always say, go with the best. It don't matter what you're doing, be sure you got the best. And, those 21 categories that were evaluated, not once, but twice, both times came back and said Redstone Arsenal and Huntsville is what is best for national security. And it can't be refuted. It doesn't matter how far, the folks in Colorado want to go with it. But I'm just telling you right now, they had a situation there where they had the number one building 9.5 miles outside of the military base. It didn't even have as much as a brick in front of it to stop people from driving vehicles through it. Didn't have any force protection. And what has happened is you just went in there and we upended this thing. And let's do what's right for America. And I'm pretty excited about where we are right now.
Yeah, so Space Command is coming to Huntsville. I get some applause on that one. Thank you very much. Yeah, this has been long awaited, really kind of expected, but it took a little time, I guess, to get some things together. But let me ask you, the president, you were in the Oval Office yesterday. First of all, do you ever kick yourself or pinch yourself and think, I'm standing in the Oval Office right now? I mean, how's that feel?
It don't matter. It doesn't matter how many times I'm in there. I just say, man, this is unbelievable. But West Wing's pretty cool in itself. But you start getting in that Oval Office, and then yesterday, I mean, we were in there for a long time. And after they got the media out, he stayed another 30 minutes. And we just talked about everything from national security to, kind of what was going on. And you think about that boat that was trying to run those drugs to America.
Yeah.
He made that decision on how to handle that right before we walked in. And it doesn't stop for him. It's unbelievable. He goes to bed about 3:30 every morning, gets back up at 7, and does it again. There's nobody made like him.
No, he definitely broke the mold. All right, well, let me ask you. So Space Command, moving here, and for those who don't remember, this is not Space Force, this is Space Command, but it is still bringing a lot of jobs. How many jobs do we expect to come to the region because of this?
Yeah, the media kind of ran with that, but related to Space Command, it should be right around 1,700 jobs with a 3,000 job spinoff.
Wow.
And then the president did go a little further. You look at it, this Golden Dome is going to be our calling also. And I think the president just reiterated what everybody that's in our network understands. But you got like I said yesterday, the right people at the right place at the right time. And we've got the workforce that can handle this. There's no doubt about it. And it's good paying jobs, and it sets us up for generations to come.
So Colorado is already protesting. Any of your compadres or your peers in Congress saying anything to you about it? Because I'm seeing that their attorney general is already saying he intends to try and fight it in court somehow.
Tell him to get rolling. Mike Rogers, I spent some time with him this morning. Our Alabama delegation is people envy us. We are working together. It doesn't matter if it's Terry Sewell or from one end of this state to the other, from east to west and north to south. But I'm telling you right now, they need to look at that IG investigation. They need to look at the GAO. It talks about staffing, the ability to staff. It talks about IT, some of the failures there. And then you look at it. You think about when we question those four-star generals and the Secretary of the Air Force during this process. And I'm just telling you right now, some of them perjured themselves up there. And that's another thing. You look at how this process was going. We had one four-star general that stood up in front of the entire Alabama delegation a week before he made a recommendation to Biden saying, do it in Colorado. But he told us he could recommend nothing but Redstone Arsenal. Well, whenever we found out he'd bought a $1.6 million horse farm in Colorado, we knew good and well that he wasn't planning on moving to Huntsville, but he retired. So we move on down the road, and the Secretary of the Air Force for both Trump 45 and Biden both recommended Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville. And then, of course, Biden goes, he didn't recommend the number one candidate, not the number two, not the 3 or 4. He recommended the 4th most qualified, which was Colorado, 4th in one of the evaluations and 5th in the other one. So I always say put your best horses on the field when it's time to play. And this is the big thing. The next war is not going to be storming the beaches of Normandy. It's going to start in space, knocking out satellites, and we have no time to waste. And that's exactly what's happened. About more than almost 4 years been wasted. We need to be going vertical, and now North Alabama is going to benefit from it.
Well, so Congressman, let me ask you, what do we know about the timeline? Because obviously there's a facilities issue, there's logistics, there's, moving people. So at what point are we going to see the actual jump from Colorado to Redstone? Do we have any idea?
Well, that's the thing that we're working on now also, but I did do a couple of interviews yesterday with some of the Colorado media, and they're like, what happens if nobody moves from Colorado to Huntsville? I said, well, first of all, that's not going to happen. We've heard this numerous times, and we went through base realignment and closure, and they said there was going to be none that moved from there, and 63, 68% of them relocated. But the big thing is you start looking at the academics of UAH, Auburn, Alabama, Alabama A&M. You just go down the list, man. University of South Alabama, and then Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt. That's who we're going to be recruiting this next line. So I think we've got the ability to take care of business, and I think they know that. But the big thing is there's going to be a lot of jobs for our local environment.
Will this be? Will this be new construction? Are they going to have to build a facility? Or are they going to take over existing facilities at Redstone?
No, it's going to be new construction. It will be behind the wire. The location is already identified. The soil conditions are already where they need to be. And what we've got to do is finish. The design is almost complete. There's state commitments. There's local commitments. There's federal commitments. And the big thing is this will be a new construct, somewhere between 14 and 18 months. And the money's already there to do this. And that's the other thing. In this evaluation, one of those 21 categories said, what is the cost to build, and to evaluate the cost to construct and maintain of these different metropolitan areas that were evaluated. It's more than $426 million more cost effective to build it at Redstone Arsenal than it would be in Colorado. So you think about it, just right off the bat, the taxpayers are going to save $426 million. And, on every estimate, it's always a low estimate. So $500 million saved by bringing this to Redstone.
Well, that's good stuff. Let's talk about now your background. Of course, you were, on the county commission for many years. You've seen this from its inception. You've seen the studies that were done when you were there at the local level. Now you're in DC. But I gotta ask you, because every time I talk to somebody about this, because all my family's in Huntsville in that region, I got family that works on Redstone now, and there's all the talk about, my gosh, the traffic's going to pick up. We've already got the parkways jammed up. I mean, do you see infrastructure being increased in the region as well to support the influx of new personnel?
Absolutely. And I think that what we're doing is, like you say, this is jobs, not just for today, but this is jobs for generations to come. But what we've got to do is, we've got projects there that are already funded. Let's move forward with them. We got University Drive from Providence, Maine, to include both bridges at the Indian Creek, to take that all the way to County Line Road. It's already funded through the state of Alabama, federal dollars. We added some more to that just last year. Got to move forward with it. You just start looking. The state transportation improvement projects identifies multiple roads, and so you look. Some are already funded, but it's time to get the construction rolling, bring them in within budget, and so that's what we're trying to do. Jeff, Blake Bottom, Parkway, Shields Road, Winchester Road. We've got overpasses. Northern Bypass just did $8.4 million for that. We've got to take it on. The design's already started from 431 to Winchester, from Winchester to 72 East. But we need even some of the roads in unincorporated areas have got to be done. But our workforce is coming from 17 counties in North Alabama and Southern Tennessee. And I think we're the lead employer for 3 counties in Southern Tennessee. So it's more than just right there in the nucleus. We got to take care of the outside areas also.
Well, I mean, it absolutely is. You know, what's amazing too is I read of course, I grew up in Huntsville. I graduated from Grissom High School. These are all my running streets that you're talking about. But I read the history of Redstone, and it was, you know, the family, the Jones family. Ray Jones's dad, Carl T. Jones, had a lot to do with Redstone not going away. There was a time when the U.S. government was thinking about divesting itself of Redstone altogether and just getting rid of it. And then all of a sudden, it came back to life, and now we see what we have today.
Hey, I tell you what, I hate to run out on you. I got to vote. I've got to go in here.
You go do it, Congressman. We appreciate you. Have a great day.
Space Command's coming our way, man. Our time is now.
All right. Thanks, Congressman. Appreciate you. Yeah, I tell you what, I'll just say this before we go to the break. I appreciate the Congressman making time. His staff let me know that he was in the middle of votes, and he was actually stepping off the floor to take this call and had to wait till they called him so he could run back in and do his vote. So that's very cool. By the way, you're getting a congressman who is able to talk the issues while he's voting on the floor of the House. That's actually kind of cool. All right, we'll tell you what, let's take a break, JP. We'll take that break. We'll come right back, and I'll give you a little more on Space Command because, yeah, Colorado's crying. Colorado's crying hard. I guess I don't blame him. Then again, it's kind of funny. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Me up in North Carolina. They drove to North Carolina, picked me up, and drove me home, and I stayed at home for 7 days. They didn't even charge me any leave for it. They just let me go.
So she was back here. She's an Alabama girl?
She's an Alabama girl.
Okay.
And I met her during that time. My brother and his girlfriend at the time, now wife, somehow connected us, and her family went to my dad's church where he pastored at. We met up, went on one date, and then we just started talking, and somehow the Lord made it happen. 6 or 7 months later, I graduate sniper school, have a big family shoot, and we had been dating. I'd already gotten a ring. I called her. Her dad came up with my dad and brothers because they let him shoot all the sniper guns. They do like a family day. None of the girls came up. It was just my dad, my brothers, and Lauren's dad. And we're fishing in my buddy's pond up there that I'm still friends with, Troy Dehart. And I said, hey, man, you know, or to Greg, my father-in-law, I said, hey, man, I'm going to ask Lauren to marry me if it's okay with you. And he's like, oh, you better ask her. Just went back to fishing. That was it. So that's kind of, that was.
He was in his happy place. Why bother him with that?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then about 8 months later, we got married before
awesome.
I deployed to Afghanistan. So, yeah, she was with me from the start, really, you know, of my SEAL career, almost the start.
Team wife's not easy. I said that a minute ago. My wife, I've said that she's a rock. I mean, you know, I've got multiple deployments, and she held down the fort. And at the same time, I never came home not knowing who my kids' teachers were, what their grades were, what the latest ins and outs of life were, because she made everything just seem so relevant and updated me constantly. Yeah,
man. Yeah, dude,
but she also kept all the bills paid and the yard mowed and the whole thing, man. I mean, but at the same time, you were active duty in the teams. That's a high up tempo life. How was it for her and for the marriage?
I mean, it was good. I mean, she misses the teams a lot of times. She likes because you know her parents were divorced, and so she, you know, bounced around between her grandparents, her mom, her dad, and she's got a good family and had a good life. Close with her brother. Her brother's a good dude. Works for Alabama Power, pretty high up in Alabama Power. But Trent's a good guy, and we have close relationship with him. There's never like bad relationship with anybody in the family, or at least on her side. She just wasn't settled. So team guy life for her and team wife life was actually pretty good because she was used to that. Going to be at mom's, going to be at dad's, going with my grandparents. She was used to kind of that bouncing around, and so she would do that, you know. And
God built her for it.
Kind of. It's almost like, you know, he kind of knew what she was going to go into, and she would have never thought she'd be that. Now, she hates it when I deploy, hates it when I go somewhere. She pitches a fit if I ever say I'm going overseas to do anything, right? She doesn't. But she was actually pretty good at it. She misses the community team guy life. She does miss that. She even talks about it now. We didn't have kids while I was in the teams. That was one thing. She said she did not want to have kids in the teams because she got to know so many women. We lost dudes all the time, you know. So I say all the time. We lost dudes regularly. And she went to those funerals with me. We went to funerals and, you know, put your trident in a coffin, and she knew their wives. And you know, some of these guys had kids, and now daddy's gone from it. She just didn't. For her, of course, we were married. She was 19 at the time. I think, I was 22 into 23, around that age range. And we didn't she just did not want to have kids in that life with me deploying. That was probably the biggest thing, is it being hard to start a family.
Did you have connectivity? I mean, it's crazy, modern deployments. My granddad went to World War II. He was a glider rider.
Talk to anybody.
And he was gone for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I came home when it was done. But did you have connectivity? Could you call home, email, that kind of thing?
We did, whenever somebody would die in country, that, which happened pretty regularly, you go River City, and not be able to talk for, a week or 3 days until the next of kin was notified.
Right.
I mean, we would still talk some, you call out on sat phone, different things, but generally speaking, it was hit or miss, but we did have connectivity. We were on a fob one day, and I was talking to her on the phone on a green line, and, a little bit of a delay. We're just talking, and all of a sudden here, a mortar came in, or a, recoilless rifle rocket came in and hit, and it was like, hey, I got to go. We got to get to our fight positions, and she's like, what was that? And he just hung up the phone and bounced. So she did deal with stuff like that she talks about now that she didn't like at the time.
My wife tells the exact same story. I'm sitting on the roof of our safe house in Afghanistan, where my team was located, on a sat phone talking to her, and all of a sudden something went cha-choom.
Yeah.
And she goes, what was that? I said, nothing, baby. And I'm looking at one of my guys going, what was that?
Yeah, got to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We did have we had the same connectivity, and we had the same comms blackouts if we lost somebody. And I'll never forget, I had a special phone because I did a lot of interconnectivity on my second tour in Baghdad, and we had solder. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Just bulletproof influence, man. Bulletproof influence. I'm wearing one of my Rightside Ruffian t-shirts today, by the way. You can find them on our website if you want one. Rightside Ruffians got the flag on the sleeve. Whoop, wrong sleeve. Flag on the sleeve. You can get them at rightside.media.org on the shop tab. Rightside.media.org, shop tab, t-shirts. There you are. Get coffee mugs, hats, all of it. But check them out. Rightside Ruffian t-shirts. Absolutely. So back on that Space Command thing, I got to say, Colorado is just like apoplectic. It's politics. It's absolute politics. Okay. So apparently, chime in if you want to, because we talked about it off the air, but apparently they've completely forgotten that this was a Trump 1.0 decision that Biden changed because of politics.
I can just go smoke a joint and be all right. They'll get over it.
Did you just go there?
Yeah, I did.
You did. All right.
Which is probably why it probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. I have some Space Command folks coming in a little.
I mean, space cadets at that point.
Yep.
Yeah. So, wow. Hey, by the way, Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser has threatened legal action over President Trump's Donald decision. Story here on 1819 News. Says following Trump's announcement, Weiser issued a statement saying he was prepared to challenge the move in court. Of course he is. He says the Trump administration should not play political games. That's the irony.
That's why I was there in the first place.
The irony. Anyway, the Trump administration should not play political games with our nation's military readiness and military families. Did they see anything that Biden did to the military? First of all, Space Command was moved to Colorado because of politics. Then there's like transgenders in the military, and then there's like the anti-vax, or the vaccine thing that kicked a bunch of people. 8,000 troops lost their jobs. Just on and on and on. The over politicalization of the people having to do like privilege walks because they were doing critical race theory training instead of training to kill people and break things. It's ridiculous. Anyway. He says moving Space Command headquarters to Alabama is not only wrong for national defense, it's harmful to hundreds of Space Command personnel and their families. Harmful? Harmful?
Yeah, the statement pretty much said that it's inconvenient that these folks have to move, and that was pretty much it. It was like,
Yeah.
so this is a convenience problem. That's all you got. You're gonna sue in court because it's inconvenient.
You see what our Attorney General Steve Marshall said in reply?
Yeah, they're not sweating it.
Oh, they're not. He said Steve Marshall posted a tweet that was done by the Colorado Attorney General and answered it by saying, I guess we'll have to settle this in court. Spoiler, we're not sweating it. Let's agree in advance. You owe us the attorney's fees when we win.
Well, how can they sue on it? Like, it's under the president's
I don't know.
prerogative to do that.
I don't know.
Just like it was Biden's to move it there in the first place.
This is called bloviating.
Yeah, it's called pouting and coping and
Bloviating. Yes. Yes. Coping is hard. It's adulting, man. Get over it. It's coming to Alabama. I'm looking forward to it. Hey, by the way, there's another story, and do I have time to unpack it? How much time I got? About 3 minutes for the break? I don't know if you guys are tracking this story. Came out of Cherokee County. By the way, that's part of my former Senate district. When I was in the state Senate, Cherokee County. Love Cherokee County. Amazing people up there. Weiss Lake. Beautiful communities like, Center and Cedar Bluff. You got all the way out towards Spring Garden. You've got up toward little communities like Broomtown and others. But Cherokee County, there's some dicey stuff going on with the way the guy who took my place in the Senate, a guy named State Senator Andrew Jones, he filed a bill trying to hyper-regulate, in my opinion, a place called Indian Mountain ATV Park. So just where you can go and you can ride razors and four-wheelers and all that kind of stuff. It's like 4,500 acres. And it's an incredible place. It's one of the best in the Southeast for riding ATVs. It's privately owned. He was trying to regulate that thing into just like, nothingness. Give it to the county commission to oversee it. Everybody's like, what are you doing, man? And then we found out he appeared to have a personal beef. Well, there was a horrible accident at Indian Mountain this past weekend. 2 people died, and like 7 others, including small children, were injured. Don't know if there's alcohol involved, but what it appears is they overloaded an ATV, had an accident. The 2 adults died. The kids were slung off, and they had like 8 people on a 4-person ATV, and anyway, 1 pronounced dead at the scene. The other was airlifted to UAB, pronounced dead there. 7 more children, ages 1 to 12, were injured. Andrew Jones, State Senator Andrew Jones, has made this a political issue. His immediate statement was, if they had just passed my bill, and everybody's like, wait a minute, you can't go down that road. So I'm doing this thing on local news right now. I'm talking about home fries, but this is a story. So right now we've got people running against it. If you're a Republican and you draw other Republicans as a primary, there's one of 2 reasons. Either A, you're doing a bad job, or B, people just want your job. I think that this Indian Mountain thing has become the Achilles heel of an Andrew Jones candidacy, along with what he did to veterans, which has been an issue. But Andrew Jones has just stepped in it hard with this tragedy, and he's using a tragedy right now, it appears, as a political football. It's not sitting well with the general public, though. Talk about it more after this and more with Home Fries, Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Parts of Rasafa District.
Were you in Salt City?
04.
Okay, all right, yes.
But and it was a mess.
Oh,
we
yeah,
lost
man.
some good guys. But we had one particular day where it was a coordinated ambush. We had IED strikes followed by small arms and RPGs that took out 3 of our guys. And so the comms blackout went in. Well, my wife, the phone that I carried had the ability to call in. And I told her, I said, don't ever call in, hon, unless it's an emergency. If I call you, we'll talk, but don't call me. But if it's an emergency, just know you can. Well, she called that night because she's literally watching the news, looking at patches on the shoulder, and realizing, oh my gosh, I think I know where that is. And I think that's Phil's unit. And she called me that night. Oh, it was a rough one.
Yeah.
But it's hard for the wife sometimes being back
Oh yeah,
home.
well, I mean, you got to think you're the one. You're not in the know. You're not in the know, but you're together. It says that's why Scripture tells us that the man leaves his parents so the 2 can become one flesh. I mean, so you join and you become one flesh, and we're a family. We are, I still have my mom and dad, still respect my mom and dad, but now I am the headship of this, and she is part of that and we're one flesh. And when you go on these deployments, these wartime deployments, you're pulled apart, and she's living in the unknown all the time. Now, you know what's going on, right? And you're doing it. So that takes a strong person, not just a strong woman, just a strong person in general. When I say person, because you got kids that deal with the same thing too. They're part of that unit, that family unit. I don't say team for family. My wife likes saying team, and I'm like, no, family's not a team. A family's a family, which, in my opinion, is different than a team. I was a team guy for my entire career. That's what they call us. That's our nicknames, team guys. I know what a team is like. A family's not like a team. It's even deeper. It's more. It's a deeper rooted thing than a team, and a team is pretty deep. We can agree on that. Your family is one level deeper, and that's why we're born into the family of Christ. We're part of God's family in the person of Jesus Christ. It's more than a team. We're not teamed up with Christ. We're in His family, and so I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Let me ask you. Let me segue off that. Though. I'm going to chase a rabbit again. So, you're a team guy,
yeah,
and now you got a family, and God saw fit to make sure you had all girls.
Oh yeah.
So you come from team guy, law enforcement, doing all the alpha male stuff, and yet you go home and you are so outnumbered right now.
Yeah, man. Well, I got a buddy he's got daughters too. He said it just means I was man enough to blow the balls off of them. That's what he always says. So, sorry for the ladies that listen to this, but I always think it's funny. No, man, I wouldn't trade those girls for anything. I mean, it is different. Love my wife, have my wife, but those girls,
How old are they roughly?
9, 6, and 3.
Awesome.
So yeah, we got 9, 6, and 3, and
girls are hard too.
They're hard.
You wait, man, they're gonna be teenagers.
What I've learned, I think, in my brothers have sons, and they also have daughters. So I got nieces and nephews. We have more girls than boys in our family, the grandkids side. So all the cousins, we all get together. It's all girls, and just 4 boys now but there's a baby. He's Bennett is a little over a year. I think he's 18 months. So I say that to say those boys, I've noticed that they're destructive, but they're actually easier as children, is what we notice. I say they're easier as children. They're harder as little children because they're destructive than girls, because girls are not as destructive. But what I've seen now, looking at the teenage side of it, boys just kind of stay the same. You kind of know what you're getting. Yeah, they might be destructive, but boys are just kind of the same all the way through it. Those girls, they shift. There is a shift, and the drama comes in, and I've already seen it with a 9-year-old. I can't imagine, the teenage years. I mean, her and my wife fighting over like how our hair is going to be done or clothes. The 3-year-old fighting over shoes. This is what girls do. What I've learned about girls, I actually asked ChatGPT this. I said, why do girls?
You went to the Oracle.
I went to the Oracle, ChatGPT. Why do girls always leave the drawers open? And ChatGPT. Is that something in your house?
Yeah.
Dude, I am going to have a panic attack over drawers.
Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show, this one. I mean to say this show goes like from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. I mean all the way down to that lovely little village on the plains we call Auburn, and straight across the line from there to what we call, once again, Fort Benning. And then big old patches of North Georgia, Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. And that's just the radio, all the radio audience in that footprint. But oh, by the way, then there's all y'all in the whole wide world going to the World Wide Web, dialing us in every single day for the live stream on places like X and YouTube and Rumble and Facebook and our website, rightsidemedia.org. And then all you podcasters who catch it after the fact. Look, bottom line is this: wherever y'all catch it, wherever y'all catch this show, just know this: it means the world to us. We love y'all as an audience. You're the reason why we do it. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. By the way, I forgot to announce it because I just got all into the topic of talking to the congressman, and sometimes when I'm resourcing the show early in the morning, gathering up all the different stories I'm going to have the paper to rattle when I get in here. Oh, by the way, I look around and realize a lot of stuff's happening in our own backyard. Sometimes you got to pay attention to what's going on in and around and amongst you. That means what I'm actually doing right now, even though I didn't say it earlier, is cooking up a batch of home fries. Yeah, cook them up, all the home fries. So I was talking about this situation in Cherokee County. It's a great story on it that came out 2 days ago on 1819 News. It has become a political football. It's a tragedy. It should not have done this. State Senator Andrew Jones, who actually took my place in the Alabama State Senate for Senate District 10, he has been at war with this ATV park trying to get them regulated, which is like a big government thing. I mean, like he's coming in hard trying to make them something they were never intended to be. I think what's really happened is there's some nearby landowners that they just want something done because they get tired of having people come out there to their peaceful farm area. Andrew Jones said with his tragedy this past weekend when 2 people died and 7 more were injured, he says much of this could have been avoided. He said that he's deeply saddened by the Labor Day weekend's tragedy at Indian Mountain ATV Park. We're keeping the 9 victims from Georgia and their families in our thoughts and prayers. And then he goes on to talk about, how hard it was out there and the first responders being unfamiliar with the terrain. He said, I have long been concerned about unofficial reports from the park of, drinking and driving. And he just basically went on to trash him a little bit. And then he said, these are a few of the reasons I authored Senate Bill 234 to provide reasonable safeguards for Cherokee County ATV parks. And he just basically went on to say they need to be regulated. And they're operating these machines. They're dangerous. They're even deadly. And the public safety is paramount. So what he basically said was, y'all can't do this by yourself. Doesn't matter how long you've been there. You need government to fix it. And that's interesting. It's an entirely privately owned land, private business. It's not a part of an industry. It's a one-off. And it's right there in Cherokee County. And people were ticked. The idea that he ran this bill just really ticked people off. But what's really also making people mad and his challengers right now are saying, what are you doing? One of his challengers is actually a Rightside ruffian named Amy Minton. And if you're not familiar, Amy Minton is one of the people who has been on the state library board fighting against all the wokeness and the transgender books and stuff in the kids section. She came out and said, she wanted to thank all the first responders and for what they did. And she said, and we live in a fallen world. Until Christ returns, this remains true. There will be accidents, evil acts, and heartbreak. Legislators cannot write away tragedy. No law can stop every accident or every act of violence. I will always stand up for individual freedom. I will always stand up for the right to bear arms, and I will stand against government overreach and regulation. Great response on her part, but I feel like, by the way, Andrew Jones is the one who also, if any of y'all are veterans and you were mad about the way the previous director of Veterans Affairs for the state of Alabama was so ousted by the governor, and then how the law was changed that sort of cut out the veterans groups. Well, that was his bill. So he's got 2 things right now that have really put a lot of people on his bad side. So we'll see how he does. But he's being primaried hard right now. Younger guy named Jesse Battles and then Amy Minton are both Republicans giving him a run for his money in State Senate District 10. All right, enough of that. Let me go on to this one. You see the story about the BLM guy from Birmingham, Homewood? You see that?
I've seen there's been riots, but I've not seen that particular story.
So a guy named Mercutio, I don't know. Shootio, I don't know. Anyway, Mercutio Southall. He's one of the organizers of Black Lives Matter protests in Homewood. He has now been arrested on arson and criminal mischief charges. He set fire in a Homewood Walmart as part of a protest because you remember there was the shooting of a kid named Jabari Peoples. Peoples, yeah.
Yep.
And the family kept screaming that the police had shot him. It was unjustified. He was a good kid. The body cam video, I don't know why they held it back as long as they did, but the body cam video was finally released, and it clearly shows a gun in his hand as he resisted the police, and they shot him. Well, Southall was one of the ones organizing all the protests. And then you see Southall apparently on secure camera going through Walmart with a basket, and he collected up things like He had a shopping cart full of rags, blankets, charcoal bags, small engine fuel, and paint thinner.
That's not suspicious at all.
Not at all. And he prepositioned the shopping cart in a clothing aisle. Like he took it, placed it in a clothing aisle, left, went to the protest, came back, lit the fire, and did over $130,000 worth of damage in the Walmart. And he's now been arrested. This is a BLM protest activist who I guess thought burning Walmart was a way to, I don't know, protest the local police.
Yeah, that does a whole lot of good for your cause.
I can't even find the tie-in.
No,
It
it's
wasn't like
just-
Walmart was the source of all their problems.
It's just, I mean, just like what we saw in LA most recently. They find something to protest and use it as an excuse to just destroy things because
Yes.
they're maniacs.
Yes.
That's pretty much what it is. There is no tie-in.
Yes. Hey, let's talk about the difference between Alabama and Tennessee with regards to the use of National Guard. So 1819 News and Tennessee Lookout. I got two different stories here. Which one do you want first?
We'll go Tennessee Lookout first.
Tennessee Lookout.
Yeah.
Go Vols. Okay, here we go.
bleh.
Did I just say that? Wow.
I need
All
to
right,
take a
so
bath.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee's story came out about 6 days ago. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee is not considering deploying National Guard personnel to Tennessee cities for law enforcement. All right, so he says we have no plan to put the National Guard there. Memphis is the problem.
Yeah.
Memphis is
Maybe a little bit too far gone. I hate to say it, but they need some help.
never. Anyway, Memphis. We want our Memphis back. It says the governor said the state has made significant investments to stem crime in Memphis, including spending $150 million in grant funds and increasing Tennessee Highway Patrol enforcement, U.S. Marshals, local agencies. He says crime is down in Memphis over the last year. But he says we've had no conversations with the president or his team about National Guard. And he seemed to indicate that he has no intent himself as governor to use the National Guard to assist. Then you come Alabama. Soon to be governor.
Governor-elect.
Yeah, we can go ahead and call him governor-elect. Why don't we
Pretty
just do
much.
that?
Yeah.
Governor-elect's Tommy Tuberville said he would not hesitate to deploy the National Guard to Montgomery or Birmingham as governor to combat crime if necessary. He ain't playing. He's just saying, sure, I'll do it.
And I'm sure a lot of Alabamians would welcome that.
You know what? There are some who would, and here's the thing. If you look at what happened in DC, what's still happening in DC, the local police were like, thank you.
Yeah.
We needed this. And they're excited about it and they're endorsing it. And I wonder how the Police Benevolence Association in Montgomery and Birmingham, if they would be supportive of this.
I'm sure they would. And I don't think it's a permanent fix, obviously. But when you got cities that are just completely out of control, like Memphis, like Birmingham has gotten a little bit better, but I know we've insinuated they've been working with the federal government behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But something's got to be done for these cities. It's like a fix right now, like Memphis. I don't know if you saw the video recently that came out of Memphis of a massive incident, and I believe it was in a bar where it was just out of control mayhem. I mean, Memphis is really struggling, so I think the police in those cities would welcome something to help fix it right now, and then hopefully long term find a better solution. But I would think they would all welcome it, the police unions.
Do me a favor, look this up while I'm finishing this piece. Marsha Blackburn, who I believe is going to be the next governor of Tennessee, see if she has said anything about the use of National Guard. But yeah, while he's looking that up, so current Tennessee governor, who I'm thinking about it now, is term limited, soon to be out of office, Bill Lee. He says he's not considering the use of National Guard. Tuberville, who is going to be the next governor of Alabama, is saying that he absolutely would use it. His words, he says, first of all, you have to weigh your local law enforcement and state law enforcement. Then they all have to work together. What you want is 24 hours, a 24-hour like presidents, like President Trump's doing in Washington, D.C. He said, I've been up there for 5 years. He's bringing the National Guard in now to enhance and take the place of the 24-hour shifts for state and local law enforcement. That's what you do. And he said visibility is the number one deterrent to crime. And that's a great point. What'd you find on Marsha Blackburn?
Article yesterday on WSMV, which I assume is a local news place in Memphis.
Yeah.
Marsha Blackburn is voicing her support for bringing the National Guard to Memphis.
Well, now.
It says blue cities like Memphis need all the help they can get to combat violent crime, and I'm grateful for President Trump's tremendous work to hold leftist officials accountable for putting their own citizens at risk. So yeah, she supports it.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you have it. I got a couple more stories here in the home fries section. Cooking up some home fries, JP. Give me some home fries. Home fries. Cook them up. Smell them. There's a new ruling that came out about gun laws in Tennessee. So on Friday, all y'all Tennessee gun owners, listen up. This is last week. A panel of 3 judges declared 2 Tennessee gun laws unconstitutional. One Republican Tennessee state rep said, "I'm excited for what this means for the citizens of Tennessee." Okay. He says the first law now considered unconstitutional is what was known as the Park Statute. It banned people from carrying guns in public parks. The second law was one that made it illegal to carry a gun with, quote, the intent to go armed. I look at that and go, wait a minute. If you're carrying a gun, what are you supposed to do? Like, do you wrap it up, put a bow on it, and put it in a gift bag, and then that way you're not considered armed? They had a statute that said the intent to go armed was against the law. The right to bear arms is the Second Amendment.
I have no words. What is that? How does that even make sense?
How does that even get passed? Anyway, State Representative John Ray Clemens, Democrat from Nashville, spoke about the competition that can come with this. And he just basically talked about how, in Little League Baseball, you got parents with disagreements, tempers flare. You don't need firearms being brandished. You know what? How about this? Trust adults to be adults. Isn't that an amazing thing? Go out and look at Alabama. Tell me how many Little League parks in our open carry permitless state you have seen turn into a gunfight. Now, I realize
I've never seen it.
You've played a lot of ball growing up.
I've seen a lot of parent disputes. I've never seen shootouts. I'll just say that.
Most folks don't get their firearms out because little Johnny got a strike when it should have been a ball.
Yeah.
Call him out at first. It doesn't become a gunfight.
Yeah.
The bottom line is this. Tennessee had some goofy anti-gun laws on the books. Goofy anti-gun laws. And one of them literally said it would be illegal to carry a gun with the intent to go armed. That's what carrying a gun is. And the Second Amendment the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, but you can't go armed. That's like saying you can't breathe air.
Well, now we need to ban Subway footlongs. Still have those without intent to be armed, I guess. After what we saw.
All right, take me to a break, JP. We'll take that break. We'll come right back and get some text messages. Moving towards the top of the hour, we will have the Grand Council with my brethren, Jeff Poore and Dale Jackson. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
And cabinets in the house. It's pure laziness, I think, is what it is. A lack of discipline and laziness.
I refuse to affirm or deny anything that you just said.
But it's just like a clutter bomb. I would almost rather stuff just be destroyed. It's just like a clutter bomb of mess. All this little knick-knack crap everywhere. Drawers open. That, to me, that's what drives me up a wall, right? And it's not just it's my wife and all of my daughters. So I got
but
four women
wait until she's 14 and the boy comes around.
Oh yeah, I don't even want. I'm not even thinking about that.
So
now.
my daughter, who's grown and married now, my daughter, I'll never forget one of her first boyfriends. So my dad, career Army, highly decorated, 2 tours in Vietnam. My granddad, career general officer when he retired, the whole thing. So the kid comes over to meet the family. Granddad comes in. My dad, who was probably less sensitive than me in many ways and some of this stuff, he's passed away now. Agent Orange finally caught up with him. But Dad walks in, looks at him and goes, "Oh, look, are you the guy?" And we apparently have a father and a grandfather, both trained to kill. How do you like that? That was his introduction to the family. Yeah. But let me ask you this too. Being a team guy, did you ever have that moment where you came home and you're like in team guy, because you're like living in a locker room for a year all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you go over there and it's all rough cut humor and maybe crass talk and things. And then you walk back in the house and it's the wife and 3 little girls. Yeah. And do you have to retool yourself?
I won't say you retool yourself. You just flip a switch on or off. I can be more like me in front of my wife, than and that's okay. And she just gets mad at me, she'll get mad at me for saying certain things. But as far as the girls, yeah, no, it's definitely a shift because of their age, right? Yeah. There is an age thing and I get that. But 2, because they are girls, you know. And so it's just a switch you flip on or off. Like I don't know why, but the little one, I don't know who she heard it from one of her cousins, but she started calling everybody, like the word that she used, she calls them a fartism. I don't know what a fartism is, I don't know, but she heard it from one of her cousins, I think, or maybe her older sister. She calls everybody a fartism. I said, hey, little girls don't use the word fart. And my older daughter, she says, I've heard you say it, Daddy. And I say, yeah, I've said it. And I said, but it's different for boys and girls. And my wife said, it's the same for anybody. I said, okay, I'm going to stop you because you're wrong. I said, can a little boy hit any little girl? No, all the girls. And I said, now, what about little girls? Do they hit little boys? You go, yes, we can. Mom was like, no, you don't hit little boys neither. But I said, but you see, we view it as different. Just as society views a little boy hitting a little girl or a man hitting a woman as different, society views what comes out of a young lady's mouth different than what comes out of a young man's mouth. It doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, but it's the reality of what is. And it's a scriptural principle. It says, abstain from the appearance of evil. And for a young woman, abstaining from the appearance of evil, my wife could punch me in the eye and nobody would care. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I'm saying as a law enforcement officer, because honestly, she might black my eye. A buddy of mine, him and his wife got in a fight, and he came to work. I was actually just training with him the other day. He's going back to the agency to do some stuff, but we're at in the SEAL teams, and he come to work with a little bit of a black eye and a little cut right here. And we're like, what happened to you? He said, bro, me and my wife got in a fight, and he said, I said something. And he said, she just punched me in the eye. I just started laughing, you know, and it was funny. Right? We laugh at that. But if he was,
if he had punched her,
if he had hit her, he probably would have broke her orbital. I mean, he could have actually. I mean, there's a good chance that if
and he probably would have walked off the team too.
Oh no, not off the team. He'd been in jail. There'd been a whole process. But what I'm saying is, there's a level of difference because he can actually physically hurt her really bad. I don't care who the chick is out there. There are very few chicks. You might have a few that like are fight trained or whatever, but most chicks hit a dude. Yeah, you might hurt me a little bit, but you need an object to be an equalizer.
Yeah.
Most dudes hit a chick, you're gonna hurt them really bad. So I say all that to say it is different, and it's viewed differently for that reason. We view a guy that hits a girl is extremely bad, and a girl that hits a guy we don't think much of. We don't think much about. You view a guy that has a bad mouth, we might be like, I don't like hanging around that guy because all he does is talk bad all the time. You know, I don't think he's a Christian. But think of the girls that you know that have a filthy mouth. You view them differently. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing that I try to teach my daughters. That's one thing I learned from the SEAL teams, you know, and trying to flip that switch on and off is there still is a difference, regardless of how our society wants to blur the lines. There's a difference in how we view it. There's a difference in how people view it. And it's important to understand and uphold that difference.
And stepping back in the house, though, I mean, the decompression piece is good.
Yeah.
That was the place where, like you said, you can be yourself around your wife more.
Yeah.
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just making common sense like a superpower. Hey, got a brand new texter from our Chattanooga channel, Jeff from Chattanooga. If you get him plugged into the system, man. Jeff from Chattanooga said, this is a new texter from Chattanooga. Yes, it is. He says those two laws that got overturned were welcomed because the legislature thought one was bad for open carry in parks and the other couldn't get eliminated due to liberal opposition. Love the show. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy, Jeff. I mean, you can't have a law that says carrying a gun as long as you don't go armed. You're automatically armed when you carry the gun. It makes no sense to me. Anyway, hey, glad you're in the text lines. We got you recorded in. Your name is now emblazoned in our system. Jeff from Chattanooga. Appreciate you very much. JP just told me something during the break that may be the craziest story I've ever heard. So we were talking about on the air a minute ago, Tuberville is going to be the governor. And I mean, he's got the name ID, he's got the money, he's got the Republican brand, he's got all of it. I guarantee there's going to be a Trump endorsement sometime soon. But there is a smattering of Democrat opposition, one of which is A guy named Pastor Jamel Brown. Pastor Jamel Brown.
Yeah.
From where? Montgomery?
He's from Montgomery.
And Jamel Brown may have some of the most interesting platform issues and campaign giveaways as I've ever heard of. Tell him what you heard.
Well, I've been seeing this guy on my Instagram pop up. I haven't given him much attention. I've kind of just laughed at his content because it's pretty obvious Tuberville's going to win. But when he posts stuff like this, I feel like you got to talk about it because he posted a box full of condoms on his Instagram and said, I quote, "I just picked up an order of 1,000 brand new condoms." And he said some other things, but then said that these condoms are free on behalf of Jamel Brown for Alabama governor 2026. I'll keep them at our campaign headquarters if anybody needs them.
Does he just walk around like going door to door? Instead of handing out his card, he hands out condoms?
I guess so. And his claim that he's trying to help his generation, protect themselves or whatever, but they're free from his campaign.
Yeah. Are they emblazoned with his name?
You can't see, but they are gold. So that's
Jamel Brown for
Pastor Jamel Brown.
Pastor Jamel Brown for governor. Here's your free condom.
Who also is for legalizing marijuana, releasing all nonviolent offenders. He's got quite the interesting platform. So I'm going to go on a hunch and say that he's not going to win. But if you want to go check him out, his Instagram is Pastor Jamel Brown. You'll get a kick out of his content. It's funny.
And he's legit though. He's a real candidate.
He's a real candidate. His bio says pastor, leader, activist, Democrat candidate for Alabama governor of 2026.
What is he? Is he like a Jesse Jackson or an Al Sharpton pastor? I mean, is he a real pastor?
Well, he's like an activist pastor. Yeah, I mean, he's a real pastor, but he likes to be. Well, I don't know. I don't know what a pastor would want to legalize marijuana and promote having premarital sex like that.
Like giving out condoms.
Yeah, but he's a pastor of a church, so I think that's all you can say about it. But yeah,
you can't make that crap up.
No, you can't.
I mean, if we wrote a Saturday Night Live skit and we did that in it, people would go, oh, "Come on." I mean, it would.
He also said he wants to have cookouts at the Governor Mansion, with one of the days being Twerk Tuesdays. He says. So,
he wants a Twerk Tuesday at the Governor's Mansion.
He does. Yeah, he said he wants to make Alabama fun again.
Twerk Tuesday around the pool at the Governor's Mansion.
I don't know what else to say, but I think that's.
I guess you need the condoms now, don't you?
I guess so.
That's just gross. That's just awful.
It really is.
So, I want to know. I want to know if he has any like campaign jingles. Does he sing a song? Does he do anything like we can play it once in a while just for fun? Do we need to come up with a Jamel Brown spot that we just do like a weekly check-in on the Jamel Brown campaign? The man handing out condoms.
Yeah,
it's door-to-door campaigning.
I don't know what else to say. He's certainly an interesting candidate.
I mean, just when you think you've seen Alabama politics.
Yeah.
Good Lord. All right, coming up next, we got my brethren in talk radio, Dale Jackson, Jeff Poor joining us, Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. Where else?
And it's
and
that never was hard for me though. That was never it was for some guys,
not me
but
either.
not for
but
me.
It was great. It was wonderful to walk back in and go. Ugh.
Oh yeah. That's what it was. It was a relief. I mean, it was almost
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But I do recall one time I'd been back from one of our deployments, not long, and we're late for church. And my daughter, who I think is 10 at the time, is still in the bathroom. And I go up to the door, and she's in the bathroom. And I called her Tootie when she was little. I said, Tootie, pinch it off. We have to go. And my wife leans down the hall and goes, did you just tell your sweet little girl to pinch it off? And I went, I did.
Yeah.
So I had to retool some of my, to recalibrate some of my lexicon.
What you say, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. And I'm gonna switch gears here a little bit. Would you? Because I see the things that are in your life. I see the way you talk about your family. I see the way you talk about your faith. Obviously, I can imagine. I mean, my training was a lot different than yours, but I can imagine the dedication and the resilience it took to do the things you did militarily, combat deployments, what you're doing now with your businesses, which I'll get into in a minute. You consider yourself to be a mission-minded person?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, and I think that might just be a thing that men have maybe more so than, let's say, women. Women and I've learned a lot about women because I have a wife and 3 girls. I'm around them a lot now. So
you're-
they're very relational. They're very relational. And we have a HR person that works for us. I've known her for a long time at Covenant Rescue Group. She's kind of our office manager in HR. Unbelievably relational. That's why we hired a female for that role. And men are not. And I would say one step further, yeah, I already have that more of mission mindset or complete the job mindset or whatever you want to call it. I would take it one step further with me. I do cherish relationships I have and friendships I have, but at the same time, the mission supersedes the man sort of thing. That's kind of and I definitely lean more to that than I do relationally, which is why I think God gave me 3 girls, is He's teaching me how to probably balance the relationship and the mission a little bit better than I have in the past.
All right. So
That's a long-winded answer. I
no,
know.
it's a good answer. But let me take it a step further. So mission-minded. I mean, like for instance, me, radio, podcasting, practicing law. Those are things that I do, but I feel like I've got a calling that makes those things possible. So in the mission-minded kind of theme of this discussion, how would you take all the things that you do and say, I do them because my calling is?
Well, it's ultimately to present Christ to everybody we come
All
in
right.
contact with. That's what I believe. The eternal is far more important than the things that are not eternal. And what is eternal? The only thing that's eternal is who we are in Jesus, right? And so I do believe every aspect of my life, whatever it is, wherever I find myself, I'm going to work as hard as I can so people say, wow, you know what, his actions show something different about him, right? But that's not good enough. I have to let them know what the different thing is, and that is Jesus. That's why I generally share the gospel, anywhere we go. Anybody you ask that's worked with us. I had a guy from a church call and say, hey, so how does CRG share the gospel? We're not a Christian-based nonprofit. We're just a normal 501c3. I just happen to be a Christian who's the CEO of a nonprofit, and we have a bunch of Christians that work for us, and we'll share the gospel. Say, hey, guys, look, we're not a Christian-based nonprofit, but this is what we believe. If you need prayer, if you need anything, we do that with law enforcement agencies. So that is the mission. Here's the importance behind it, and Jesus does this perfectly. I do not. You're asking, I use the mission versus relational, mindset, and this is a good segue into it. Jesus succeeded in fulfilling the mission that relationally a lot of people didn't want him to do. That was to go down on a cross. So he succeeded in fulfilling the mission. Obedience to the Father, obedience to the point of death. Job 13:15, though he slay me, I will trust him. But he did it for the relationship with mankind. It was the perfect mix of the mission and the relationship. And that should be who we are. So the mission is, as a Christian, share Christ with everybody, because that is the only perfect mix of mission-mindedness and relational mindedness, the relationship mindedness. Now, my wife and my girls, unbelievably relationally minded. We'll let the house burn down around us, but if we can go on vacation as a family, then that's what we're going to do. And it's like, well, okay, we can't do that every other week. We're not billionaires that can go and do all this. But let me tell you what, they'll do that. And every one of my buddies say their wives are the same way, right? When can we go do this with the kids? It's just, and the movie that I like to use an example. Have you ever seen Old School? You know the movie Old School?
Oh, yeah.
So Vince Vaughn is in there. He's like, you sure you want to do this, bro? They're up on stage to get married. She's like, yeah, what are you talking about? Be quiet. And he goes, no, you sure you want to do this? I mean, look at her. There's my wife down there. She's holding the baby. Look, she's just sitting there watching, judging, look at the baby. As a unmarried guy, I never got that part. I mean, I always thought it was funny the way Vince Vaughn talks, just watching me, judging me, look at the baby. Now that I'm married, 100% get it, because that's it all the time, and because the family relationship is what they are so in tune with.
Oh yeah. So
for
we're
us-
grandparents now, by the way.
So even more so.
And my wife's grandmom name is Sweetie, which is
Yeah.
a perfect fit.
What's your grandpa name?
Cap.
Cap?
I'm Cap.
All right.
Cap
all
and
right.
Sweetie. But Sweetie told me yesterday, if we don't get down to see the grandbaby sometime soon, I'm going to lose my mind.
It's like, hey,
And I want to see them too. But for her, it is way beyond
Exactly.
anything I could ever put my finger on.
But for you, it's your work. It's this mission. And it might be sharing the gospel, and you have to find that perfect mix
Yeah.
of it. And that's why I bring that up, is because the mission mindedness that I have, it would go too far one way, and I would work all the time. The relational mindedness that my wife has, it would go too far the other way, and we wouldn't have a dime to spare because we'd be vacationing down at the beach condo every other weekend, right? And so you have to bring those two things together, and the only way they're brought together, and you mentioned it, what is the point of the mission? Sharing the gospel, because that's the only thing that helps these two things correlate or coalesce appropriately.
Awesome. Let me jump into your team time a little bit. I want
Yeah.
to hear about it just for a few. Time in the teams. Let me ask you first of all, why Navy? I mean, was that like the lifelong?
No.
I'm going to be a Navy SEAL.
No. I actually want to be an Army Ranger. How about that,
Hey.
right? Yeah. So, or a Marine sniper. Saw that movie with Tom Berenger. Remember that movie, Sniper, with Tom Berenger? I always wanted to be a sniper, Marine sniper, and then after seeing Black Hawk Down, I was like, I want to go be an Army Ranger.
Nice.
My dad took me down to recruiting office, and I was like, Dad, I'd become a firefighter. I was 18 at the time. I turned 19 before I actually went into the
Plain right. All right. Well, welcome to hour number 3 on Hump Day. And you know what that means? We play the Camel at the beginning of the show, and long about the beginning of the third hour, we jump into a thing we call the Grand Council, where I bring in 2 of my brethren in talk radio. They've been doing it longer than I have, and we just banter each other with questions and see where the chips may fall. So let me call a roll and see if I got a quorum for the council. So turning southward, FM Talk 106.5 down yonder in Mobile, host of the Jeff Poor Show. Oh, by the way, editor-in-chief of 1819 News, works with Breitbart, has done a lot of stuff, even worked with Tucker Carlson. Oh, by the way, that's Jeff Poor. Jeff Poor, are you there?
I am present.
You are indeed. Thank you very much. Northward on the northern border of our state, near the new headquarters for Space Command, would be the host of the Dale Jackson Show, 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Also has a gig with Yellowhammer News, does some TV stuff. Dale Jackson, are you there? Oh, stand at ease. I pronounce a quorum. Hit it,
Assemble
JP.
the Grand Council.
All right. Well, first of all, congratulations. This is the first time in 4 years of doing this, guys, that we've had video on all 3 of us rolling here on the Grand Council for the live
Might be the
streamers.
last time too.
Why would you say that?
The way your guys framing me, what is this all about?
Well,
Come on.
You've got some kind of like emojis in the back. What do you have? Anime in the background? What is that?
That's
You've
my
way
background here.
You've way overthought this whole.
No,
story.
that's my normal background. It's just your guy did not line me up correctly.
My
You should've-
guy did
Yeah.
not. It's your camera, dude. Sit in front of the camera next time.
I'm sitting right in front of the camera. He's got a boat lifted up a little bit.
There's
That's
2
okay.
of us who look normal,
Yeah.
and then you got like this weird blur. What are you doing? Here, man?
Correct.
Wearing your vest and your tie.
Well, I just got done doing TV, so that's one of the reasons why I'm here.
Okay. Can we go to the Grand Council? Let's do this. Let's go to the Grand Council. Jeff Poor, you first question. What you got?
How much longer we talk about Space Command until we're tired of it?
Till they finish building it and they cut the ribbon, I guess. I mean, it's a huge deal. We'll stop talking about it the next couple of days for a while. But I just had Dale Strong on the show a moment ago, and Congressman Strong says they are actually going to be building a brand spanking new facility inside the wire at Redstone. Then we got the legal fight because AG at Colorado says he's going to resist it. So I don't know. I suspect there'll be sideline stories at the very least for a while. Dale?
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking about it for quite some time, mostly because when these conversations are going on, it never ends. It's up to them to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to sue, we're going to do all this stuff, and then we have to respond to it. I think it goes on for much longer than we want it to. That's for sure.
Okay. But your own thoughts, though, Jeff. What are you thinking?
I'm just saying, sitting here down here in Mobile, Alabama, and the inundation with Huntsville News is starting to rattle some of my listeners a little bit.
Well, then do something down there.
And Dale still hasn't got his camera right.
I'm perfectly fine now.
Dale, now we're staring at your crotch. Could you please sit a little lower on the
Hey,
camera?
look, you want people to watch, right? People need to click over.
Good Lord. Talking about Space Command. Okay, so the reality is we're going to talk about it for a while longer. I tell you what the other story is going to wind up being is the infrastructure in Huntsville. Every time I talk to somebody about it, because a lot of my family's Huntsville, is all about, man, the Parkway is going to be so crowded. 565 is going to be so massively crowded. They're going to have bigger gates at Redstone. I mean, so infrastructure is going to be a thing, I think. That's going to be the next story.
That's a brain dead complaint, though, honestly. No offense to your family and friends, but the simple fact is it's brain dead to complain about that because the alternative is a ghost town.
Well, First of all,
This is the guy who works from home.
yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
I'm not saying they're not.
You roll
legitimate
out of
complaints.
bed, you walk downstairs with coffee in your hands, and you do your show. That's
I had
Coffee
someone
is-
carry me downstairs. Thank you very much. I never walk all the way there by myself.
all right. Take the next question, Dale. What do you got?
All right, since you guys are complaining about that, I'm going to complain about Gavin Newsom.
Ah,
Are we done with this yet? You're Trump now. You're talking about Kay Ivey burping and not knowing what's going on, which is very funny. But at the same time, how long are we going to go on with this thing where he pretends to be Trump and all this other nonsense?
I've heard Kay Ivey burping, and it's not funny.
We've all seen
it.
it.
But so Gavin Newsom, I mean, the guy is such a poser, and he's doing everything he can. He's a beta male right now who's doing everything he can to be the tough guy, and it's just not working. It's like so overplayed. And plus, he's got somebody else running his social media, and then he tries to go out there and be what his 18-year-old social media guy says he is. It's really unbecoming. I think people see right through it. It's like watching Jasmine Crockett pretend she's from the hood now. I mean, that's what Gavin Newsom is doing. He's becoming the guy who's tough when he's never been tough, and he sits like a girl, he acts like a girl, and slicks his hair back like a girl. So all said and done, beta male.
I like the Yasmin Crockett bit though. She is slowly turning more and more ghetto. It's amazing. It's a nice transition to watch.
Quite the metamorphosis.
She's gonna shoot somebody or stab them before this is all said and done.
The thing about Newsom,
Jeff, go ahead.
The thing about Newsom, his shtick, the media aren't really, no one's really cheering this on the left. They're not criticizing it, but they're not like, hey, look at this, isn't this great what he's doing? They're not. There's not any of that going on, right? There's no seal of approval there.
No, he throws out these loose things like Alabama's got a higher crime rate than California, and everybody looks at him like, "What are you talking about?" No stores are closing down and locking up the merchandise, and people aren't fleeing the state of Alabama. In fact, we grew. You're the one who lost people. So I mean, sooner or later, reality has to set in. And I look at this as, you remember when he did that? Was it last year? He did that sort of debate with Ron DeSantis and got trounced. And I think what happens is eventually truth catches up with him and he can't deal with it. So
yeah, people keep telling him to do this stuff, and it's a bad call because he's not good at it.
It's a really bad call.
Yeah, and I think people want to fight her and all this other stuff. We've played that game, but have we not learned that every person that tries to get in there and mix it up with Trump either punches themselves out or they lose? Marco Rubio, Ron DeSantis, and there's a whole list of people who have tried to get down there and play dirty with him, and it can't be done. It just cannot be done.
Yeah, it's also kind of pitiful to watch. Like I said, he's definitely posing. He's not being himself. He's trying too hard, and it's just falling flat. All right, let me switch gears. Let me bring it home. Speaking of a guy who wants to be governor, are y'all tracking this guy, Pastor Jamel Brown from Montgomery? Are y'all seeing him? So
I assure you I am not.
So Pastor Jamel, I just learned this right before we went on with Grand Council. Pastor Jamel Brown is sort of an activist, calls himself a pastor. I don't know if he has a church or not. He's got a platform that has legalizing marijuana, releasing prisoners, and he is now, as part of his door-to-door campaigning, giving out condoms with his push cards. Like, hi, I'm Pastor Jamel Brown. Here's a condom. Vote for me. And I'm just wondering, have you ever seen anything like this in state politics? Jeff, you've seen all of state politics. What are your thoughts?
Not with the Bible thumpers out there handing out condoms. I don't know. I guess it's a way to get the Democratic nomination in Alabama because there's not much else going on there.
But what does it mean?
I don't know. I mean, we look at it like,
it's just a gimmick. I mean, I guess it's a passable gimmick, right?
Well, he's getting free PR with us talking about him right now.
We're talking about it.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
exactly right.
Yeah, mission accomplished.
Right, but we talked about the Menendez brothers last week too, right? It doesn't matter if you're talking about it, if it doesn't make any damn sense, because what does the condom represent? Does anyone know?
No. In fact, my first question was, does he have his name branded on there? Like, vote for Jamel. I don't know.
Is it on the wrapper or on the actual item?
I don't know.
Can you get those made? And why haven't you done that already, Dale?
Because I wanted to do it right for my fans, and they said we just don't have enough latex.
And on that note, it is actually time for a break. So I'm going to let that one ride. All right, that's round one, the Grand Council with Jeff Poor, Dale Jackson, and me on video. Live stream it, y'all. You can see every bit of it. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I said, hey, Dad, I think I need to do this. Dad just said, hey, if you're going to do something, not that military service is not special, but do something different. if you're going to go get a degree, get a master's degree. You know, go the whole route. If you're going to go to the military, do something special, do special operations. And Bush had just done the contract. You go Ranger, X-ray for the Green Beret, SEAL contract, PJ. So it was the SOCOM contract.
Call them SF babies.
Yeah, so when you're trying to up that number, so you don't have guys in the regular military going over there just trying to get anybody they can, get the top candidates. So I went and did that, and the hardest test, it was actually SEAL, Air Force for the PJ and the combat controllers. Then it was the Army for the X-ray, and then Ranger contract, or I think now it's called RASP, if I remember right, to actually go to battalion. And then finally was the Marine Corps had an 0311, 0311, their infantry contract, where you could go to screen for MARSOC after, I think, 1 year in the infantry. So somebody's probably listening. They could tell me where I'm wrong.
Were the Raiders standing up by then?
Yeah, they were. They had just, I think it was 2005 that they had started standing the MARSOC Raiders up out of Force Recon. Not Recon. Everybody's like, oh, Marine Recon. Recon is a regular infantry, battalion that do some, different things. But I'm talking about Force Recon, their Special Operations Command. You get a contract for any of those. And SEAL was the hardest. So I just said, all right, Lord, I'll do the SEAL, and if I pass that test, because I had to swim, the run was a little bit harder, had to do more pull-ups.
Were you a big swimmer before you got there?
No, not at all. I could.
Really?
I mean, I could swim. I wasn't going to drown if I fell in the lake, but I wasn't a swimmer. I didn't.
You weren't drown-proof to that point.
I was not drown-proof, and so I said, if I can pass this thing, then that's the route I'll go. And it was physical, and then the written test. You had to score so high on your ASVAB, which is easy, and I did that, and I passed it, and I said, all right, Lord, I guess this is the route you want me to go. I got a contract. And, when I got the contract, I started training for 6 to 8 months, had nobody, didn't know any SEALs, didn't know anybody. I didn't know what to do. So I just kept running. I would run a lot. I knew it was a lot of running. I was running probably 16 miles 2 times a week. And then in the other times I was running shorter distances, 3 and 4 miles every day a week, just training. Pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, doing that. My dad said, hey, you don't have to work. If you're going to go do this, good job, son. Live at my house, eat my food, and train and be ready. And then I'd go up to my buddy's lake house, and I would tread water with a boat anchor. I couldn't tread water with a boat anchor initially, but I got to where I could tread water with his boat anchor. Those little John boat anchors, there's not much weight, probably 15 pounds or something, maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah, but.
And I would let it down with a rope, and I would tread water. As I'd pull that 20-foot rope up, I'd let it down to the bottom under his pier, and I'd pull it up, I'd hold it over my head and tread, and then I'd let it back down, and that's what I would do. You can see he's over here laughing because I'm sitting here kicking my little feet like I'm doing it, right? And I would do that to train, and then a buddy of mine had a pool, and I would go swim in their pool every day of the week. I just swim laps back and forth.
How long was this self-training going on before you went down?
6 months, so it's probably about 6 months.
So what's
maybe a little bit longer.
I don't know the answer to this. What's the pipeline? So you took a SEAL contract, obviously.
Well, it's changed. It's changed a little bit now. So I'll tell you my pipeline, because the pipeline shifts about it seems like it shifts every 2 years. I got a contract. I get slated for a time in the Navy, and then I have to pass the test to maintain the contract throughout the duration. So you go to MEPS just like anybody else does, went down to Montgomery, signed on, all that stuff. And 6 months, it might have been a little bit longer than 6 months, but they slate you for a time to leave for boot camp. So you don't leave immediately.
Delayed entry.
Yeah, so it's and it wasn't by choice either. It was just, hey, this is the time that we have for you to leave. And so I'm going through that process, and I have to continue to check into the NOSC or the little Navy area down there, go and check in. I do my screener, make sure I maintain that contract, and went to the Navy and went through boot camp. When you're done with boot camp, it's like 3 months long or 3.5 months, whatever it is. Go through boot camp. In boot camp, you have extra, because I had a contract for NSW, you have an extra training in the morning. So
Naval Special Warfare, for those who don't know.
Yeah. So you go NSW guys had to go and train early in the morning, swim and run and all that stuff at boot camp. So we got up earlier. Everybody gets up at 5, let's say, or whatever time it was. We get up at 3:30 or 4, go over, do an hour of training, come back. Everybody's up at 5, making their beds, getting ready for the day for your inspection, normal boot camp. So we had extra stuff at boot camp to keep us ready, albeit it didn't work that well. I got in worse shape in boot camp than I was when I got in boot camp. And once you're done with that, they had something called scruff duty. That's gone now, but scruff duty is where they hold you, and then they take guys and they whoever's the top screeners gets sent out to buds to class up in buds in San Diego. And this is in Chicago, Great Lakes, Illinois is where they're.
And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Making common sense like a superpower. Going back to round 2 right now at the Grand Council with my brethren, Jeff Poor and Dale Jackson. Second round, first question, Jeff Poor, what you got?
The city of Decatur naming a street after Steve Perkins. I don't know. It seems a little premature to me. I mean, can we wait till like all the trials have taken place and put a little time between this incident before why would the city council do this?
Go ahead, Dale.
If you celebrate it, you're going to get more of it. That's the bottom line. If you celebrate it, you're going to get more of it. And they seem to think that Steve Perkins is like some sort of victim in all of this. He pointed a gun at the police. The trial's going to find the light is shining on the officer who shot him. They're not supposed to be there. It's not an obligation to get shot in the face. Okay? I'm sorry. This is just nonsense. He came out and threatened a tow truck driver once. The cops came. He came out to threaten the tow truck driver a second time with a gun and just so happened to find someone else with a gun sticking in his face. It's unfortunate for 1,000 different reasons, but he is not a victim, and this is absolutely absurd.
So let me ask you this: is it an actual renaming of the street, or an honorary, like a sign saying the honorary naming of the street in his honor? What are they doing here? Are they really renaming the street after his
They're
guy?
renaming Ryan Drive, where Perkins lived and died, to Steve Perkins Drive.
Okay. Well, virtue signal. But the reality is what you're looking at here is a misguided attempt to try and, like, I don't know, qualify the guy's life. I can remember dealing with the city council, Gadsden City Council. We had an entire project to name the highway 411 through Gadsden as the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans Memorial Highway. And being a veteran of both, I was like all in on it and helping out with it. And then I had one city councilman who really wanted to name a section of it after a dead Democrat nobody had ever heard of before. And I told him, I said, well, that's your prerogative, but city councils do what city councils do. And sometimes they make absolutely no sense. They're too busy getting stuck in their little bitty bubble, and they forget that the larger picture is maybe more important. I mean, that's an asinine thing. That's just crazy.
City council job seems like the absolute worst job on the planet.
You know what, though? Look at COVID and you realize, okay, apparently they can do stuff to your lives if you're not careful. So, I mean, it's important to vote people in. Even dog catcher can be important if you're not careful. All right, Dale, next question. What you got?
All right. Well, I was going to ask a semi-local question as well, but I'm going to go a little bit broader here because I think maybe we need to talk about it. We've watched as the media has sort of jumped on this Epstein thing. I knew you guys were waiting for it. We jumped on this Epstein thing. Now we had a bunch of people talking about it, and they're doing the same thing that they always do. No, this isn't everything. They release stuff. Nope, that's not enough. They want transparency. Has anyone walked out of any of these meetings and said, oh my God, I can't believe X did Y? Is there a single allegation we're learning about or anything like that towards a person with a name?
So what I gather is that Space Command is not enough for you to talk about. You still need to talk about Epstein.
I got to.
Okay.
And you not wanting me to talk about Epstein is a distraction from the Epstein situation.
No, it's just, hey, I'm going to do this, and you're going to like it, whether you like it or not.
Okay, so the Epstein files. I mean, listen. I mean, it's still a real story. I get it. And they were actually doing a press conference today that most of the networks were covering as they, that some of the victims and others are calling for the files to be released. I don't know how much more there is to be released. Because the House Oversight Committee just released like 37,000 pages plus videos yesterday. And is there more left? I mean, what else is left that we haven't already seen? Jeff, you know?
No, I don't know. It'll never be satisfactory. They can release everything. No one believes we have such low standards for our institutions as believability. I think they can literally put everything out there, and that's never, I mean, we saw they put everything out there with with JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King Jr. And it's just, this is never going away.
This is going to be the next Area 51. Who shot JFK? It's always going to be there. It's going to be, I tell you what, I make a prediction. If Dale Jackson's still on the radio 7 years from now, he'll be talking about the Epstein files. That's what I predict.
Great. Considering I didn't want to talk about it for the last 10 years like everyone else. Now all of a sudden I care very much, I guess. I personally, I hate this story and I want it to go away. That's what I want. And I just don't see that happening. Just like the Russia stuff, they're just going to keep talking about it. So Trump should be like, here, have all the flash drives. Just dump it on the White House lawn and leave.
Start passing out flash drives with
why not?
with Jamel Brown's condoms. That'd be awesome. All right, last question. I'll go light on this one. I'm going to go light. So there's at least 2 Auburn fans right here on this whole call. So is Kalen DeBoer out at Alabama? What's going to happen? Alabama fans seem to be struggling with the idea that they lost a season opener to an unranked team. Is Kalen DeBoer out? That's my question, Jeff.
No, $70 million buyout. No way. Alabama will go 7-4. Whatever. They'll have a mediocre season, and Alabama fans will act like it's the end of the world. And Auburn will probably have a similar season. We'll think it's the best thing ever.
I think we got the backhanded compliment there. All right, Florida guy. What do you think?
I hate Florida State. I hate that they beat Alabama. I hate that they bought a player from Boston College in order to do it. So this is the whole unranked team thing. I think is a little overplayed on this. Alabama's still Alabama. I guess the real question for you two is who ends up higher ranked at the end of the year, Alabama or Auburn?
Well,
Auburn,
go ahead.
Auburn will probably get them at home this year. I mean, Auburn Jesus will come, and we're due. It's just we'll win, but it's not going to be like a national championship season. It's like those seasons in the 90s, and then all the media will be oohing and awing over Ohio State or Michigan or whatever.
Phil, were you excited about the game when you were watching it? I was watching. I thought the quarterback was a lot of fun.
Which one? Auburn?
Yeah, I thought
he's going to get destroyed when they play SEC teams.
It's possible.
Okay, but the guy's got legs. I will say this: he can scramble out of a pocket. So I thought that it was a good opener for him. It was a good opener for him. It was.
I agree with that completely. The real threat is the Florida Gators. Did you guys see the beating they put on Long Island University?
Long Island University is a university on Long Island, and they have.
I didn't know it either until I was watching Marco Rubio's son get in the game. That's how bad it was going. They're like, "I put the Secretary of State's kid in there."
Was Secret Service on the sidelines making sure he didn't get hit too hard?
They were blocking for him.
All right. Well, listen. All I know is I was just proud to watch an Auburn game on Friday night and then walk into Saturday morning football feeling like things were okay because I didn't have to sweat out what Auburn was going to do. It was already done.
Low expectations. Just live with them. When they do okay, you'll feel good about it.
The pessimism of Alabama, and I'm saying the state of Alabama football fans, is one of the most perplexing things that I've learned living here in the state.
I feel like
Florida's got the negative.
Florida's got the attitude of Notre Dame, but the legacy of Wake Forest.
We got 3 championships. We can claim 9 other in the offseason. We're fine with those. We understand who we are.
This is a historically mediocre football program.
Yeah,
I agree. We're the middle of the road team from the SEC.
I did hear that Tuberville got a new ring. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was showing that off on TV.
Whoop whoop! I know it. Listen, well earned. It was the season. All right, that's it, fellas. I appreciate both of you. Jeff Poor, FM Talk 106.5, 1819 News. Dale Jackson up yonder at WVNN also does a gig with Yellowhammer News. And just little old me, the Grand Council. We do it every single week on the halfway through, the beginning of hour number 3. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
So after boot camp, went to scruff duty. I got picked up in the first rotation, and they send us out to San Diego, and there you check in, and you don't check into a class yet because then they take the top screeners and they put them in the next class to sign, for buds indoc. It's not called indoctrination anymore, but at the time I was there, it was called indoctrination. And that's basically a couple weeks of prep for buds first phase. And you lose a lot of guys during that time. So that's the process. When I got out to San Diego, I classed up with class 264 and with NDOC, made it through NDOC, made it into first phase, and it's constantly a selection process. So out of the Southeast, they took out of a couple hundred guys that screened, 10 of us actually wound up going to buds and maintaining that contract. And then when you get into scruff duty, there's a couple hundred guys there. There might have been 300 guys at scruff duty. Well, they took 50 of those guys that were the top screeners and sent them out to San Diego. So I was in that first run, and a lot of my buddies were sent them out to San Diego. And in San Diego, you might have a couple hundred guys waiting to class up, and they'll take however many of those guys to fill that next class. So they're always selecting, taking the top performers because, again, they're trying to get more numbers through. The percentage still stayed the same as failure rate, but they're just trying to get more numbers into the teams. And so I classed up with 264, 366 guys with Bud's Indoc. And by the time we graduated Bud's, I think only 11 originals graduated. Wow. And of the 11 originals that graduated, 32 guys that I started with actually got tridents. I was one of those guys. I didn't graduate until class 267. So you get rolled for injury, performance, maybe both. I got rolled, and in 267 is when I actually graduated Buds and SQT.
Yeah, we call that recycle in the Army.
Yeah, that's it. You're just getting recycled, but you only get one shot to recycle, and they might hold you 2 or 3 classes for your injury to heal, or whatever it is, but they'll throw you back into a class, and you have certain staples. So Hell Week is one. If you make it through Hell Week, you don't have to go through Hell Week again. If you make it through pool competency in the second phase, you don't have to go through pool comp again. If you make it, and then third phase, you'll have to start over.
Are there ancillary? I mean, in the Army, we call them special schools, like additional special schools. And I actually had some Rangers some SEALs in my Ranger class.
Yeah. So
did you go to airborne school? Did you go to? What else
so we go to jump school because we're all Hey-Ho qualified, all that. So,
right.
But we had our own jump school.
Okay.
Because the Army.
You're not at Fort Benning going through jump school, doing
No, the guys used to. But when they set the requirement that all SEALs be Hey-Ho qualified, we stood up our own jump school right there in San Diego at Brownfield, and we did all of our static line there. I've only got like 5 or 6 static line jumps, and then a couple hundred, free fall jumps. There's some guys that really get into it. They have thousands of free fall jumps, especially guys over at development group that jump a lot. Now we spent a lot of time in the wind tunnel and did a lot of that, but and we had a whole air ops thing that we stood up at Team 3 where we would jump in with stuff, and you can do advanced schools later, but a requirement to be a SEAL is to pass jump school, free fall school. And some guys wouldn't pass it. Some guys make it through Buds and then they fail jump school.
That was one of the dreams I never got to go do.
Yeah. Free fall?
By the way, is that still considered a primary insertion technique for the teams? Is that?
No, I wouldn't say it's a primary insertion technique. There's some guys that have inserted into combat situations in Africa primarily via jumps, Halo jumps or Hey-Ho jumps. The only ones I ever did was training, and so it wasn't really needed because we're at war in the country we were in, so we didn't have to jump in.
So all right, I see the pipeline. I see you got trained. Let me ask you this real quick before I move on to deployments. So Ranger School for me, I went and it was all about patrolling and small unit tactics and, and mountaineering and whatever else and swamp operations, and which was miserable. And all those things were, they were real.
Where'd y'all do your swamp stuff at? Mississippi?
No, down in Florida.
Oh, in Florida? Okay.
Yeah, Eglin Air Force Base. But that being said, later I realized, I think more than anything, I learned things about me.
Yeah.
And I gained stuff that was not necessarily what I would call military.
Yeah.
It was more along the lines of things that it did to me, for me, and taught me about me.
Yeah.
What about you with Buds and the rest?
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess the most concise way I can say it is, again, a scriptural principle. David says,
Right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the Southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show, this show. I mean, it goes from like Huntsville back over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. I mean, all the way down, y'all, to that lovely little village on the plains that we call Auburn, and straight across the line from there to now what we call Fort Benning. So yes, indeed, there's a lot of ground that we cover on the radio, and I'm telling you, it is just amazing how many of y'all are actually dialing in on the radio, but there's a bunch of y'all in the whole wide world going to the World Wide Web. dialing in the live stream of the show, watching the video even of places like X and YouTube and Rumble and Facebook and our website, rightsidemedia.org. And then the podcasters who catch it after the fact. All said and done, y'all, we love you. We appreciate you. We thank you. You're the reason why we do what we do. So thank you very much. And so, by the way, all that to say, we really do appreciate this audience. I mean, you guys are the reason why we do it, and I don't say that lightly. And I'm looking right now at the text lines, and I'm realizing how many texts have built up in the last little bit. I don't think anybody else could possibly be as proud of the fact that they have other people helping lead, guide, and direct this show. I have an audience that engages this show like crazy. So anyway, let's grab some of those. Let's see what we got. In fact, I will say, let's see here. What do I got? Alan from Arab says, Phil, can you ask Dale Strong if Space Command is coming to Redstone Arsenal? What's the plan for the current? Okay, I did ask him that. I feel good now that I see your text that I did ask him that question. He said the Arsenal commander has changed the gate hours, claiming not enough funding to man the gates. This has been a big inconvenience for all personnel that live south of Huntsville. Gate 3 now closes at 1 p.m. Really? Oh, come on. We can do better than that. Well, that's not going to be able to stand, Alan. I mean, once you get another, several thousand people on there, plus they still have yet to really fully plus up everything with FBI. So I would say that you're going to wind up seeing an expansion of the gate capabilities. You're going to have to, and they're going to have to probably put in more lanes. And it's the architecture, the infrastructure is going to have to increase overall. Now, municipal, statewide, interstate, all of it. You're going to see plus ups. And from what Congressman Strong told us, it sounds like that's definitely already in the mix. Dave from Capshaw, regarding that boat that was blown up, that drug cartel boat, he said, what hit that boat? A drone? I kind of hope the guys in the Venezuelan drug boat saw our drone or whatever hit them, so they had to say, yikes, we're toast, or do you think they were hit unawares? So I don't know what to tell you on that, man. I think it was a drone. It had drone effect. I don't think we had attack helicopters in the air. I don't think this was done. I anticipate drone, but I can't guarantee you that. But yeah, it was amazing to watch. Funniest meme out there right now is a picture of Trump playing a video game, and right next to it is the video of the boat blowing up. I don't think that's what happened, but it's still funny. Paul from Athens says, now that is a true war on drugs. Good news. Thank you, Phil and JP. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, if you missed the first part of the show, I encourage you to catch the podcast. I did a deep dive podcast on what's happening off the coast of Venezuela right now. Trump, if you missed it, Trump has now put, we have guided missile cruisers and a destroyer and one fast attack submarine and troop carriers that have like an entire Marine Expeditionary Unit off the coast of Venezuela because of the, you got the video up right now. I just realized JP put the video up of the boat blowing up. This war on drugs is really escalating. The question is, and I posed it in my my monologue, is does this parallel with what we saw in Panama in 1989 when we had a Manuel Noriega who was just like a Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela? He was a drug trafficker. He was collaborating with our enemies. He was threatening U.S. interests. He avoided an election to stay in power. He was a tyrant. He was a socialist. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. What I described to you was Nicolas Maduro. Oh, by the way, what I described to you was Manuel Noriega. And the invasion of Panama, Operation Urgent Fury, we went in and took Noriega down, brought him back here for the first time in U.S. history. We put a foreign head of state on trial in the U.S. and convicted him of drug trafficking. What you got, man?
And I'll say this, like my personal foreign policy, I would say is pretty anti-interventionist. I'm not going to call myself an isolationist, but I do think like our foreign intervention should be pretty limited. However, what we just saw of drone striking or whatever it was, that boat that was trafficking drugs, that is military action that we absolutely like. That is the military action I fully support. Like that is what that is exactly what our military should be used for, to protect our own citizens against cartels that are actively trying to hurt our citizens with what they're bringing here to the U.S. So, that is military. That I feel like that is what our military is for, to protect our own citizens just like that.
Especially in our backyard.
Exactly. So like for the people who are on the left who are throwing a fit about it and how Trump's being a warmonger or whatever. Like, that is what our military is for, to do exactly that. So, and like I said, I'm very anti-interventionist, globally with how we use our military, but that is exactly what it's for. So
I saw somebody this morning posted that video of the boat blowing up, and their response to it was, "What's going to happen next is the cartels are going to put American tourists hostage in the boats, and then if we blow the boat up, we're killing Americans too."
Sure.
And they said, then what do we do? And I said, well, then we go ashore with hot steel and cold, cold hearts.
The what if is so funny to me. It's like, well, what if they do this? What if they do that? It's like, well, they haven't. So how about we cross that bridge when we get there, and we'll figure it out.
Thank you very much. What else have I got? David from Huntsville says Biden's bombing of innocent families in the immediate aftermath of Afghanistan was a reckless knee jerk to draw attention from the disastrous withdrawal. It's a good point. So here we are talking about this boat blowing up. Biden swore he was taking out an ISIS terrorist. What he really did was blow up a minivan full of a family, and then claim, we took out ISIS-K. It was ISIS-K. Don't you know ISIS-K? And he had no clue what he was talking about. He just needed to try and divert away from the disaster of the Abbey Gate bombing. Mark from Madison says, oh, he was correcting me. I see. Guided missile cruiser or destroyer. Did I not say that? I think I said that.
I think he was just putting up his guess to what it was.
It was a battleship, and it had big rockets on it that go out there and blow stuff up.
All I know is the boat went boom.
There you go.
That's all that matters.
Joe in Tennessee was letting us know that WSMV you were quoting earlier is actually a Channel 4 in Nashville. Okay. Thank you, Joe C. Appreciate you up in Tennessee. We have Dustin from Hillsboro says that Pastor Jamel Brown sounds smart enough to staple his business card to those condoms when he hands them out. Listen, man, I'm pretty sure we need to start doing a regular update on Pastor Jamel Brown.
Well, hey, he posts daily, so it's not hard to see what he's doing.
If you can, here's what we'll do. I like this idea. You ready? You need to start getting me to do a live reaction to a Pastor Jamel Brown every day. Like, put it up and I'll watch it on the screen and then react to it live.
Yeah, we but we're kind of giving this guy more credibility, though. We were trolling him a little bit. He is funny. He's very funny.
This is hilarious.
I don't think he's trying to be funny, but he is.
I've seen him. He's a jovial guy.
Yeah.
Pastor Jamel Brown.
Yeah.
Come on, vote for me. I can get you all the weed.
Yeah.
I get you some condoms.
We'll have Twerk Tuesdays here at the Capitol.
Twerk Tuesdays by the pool at the governor's mansion. I mean, my gosh. Listen, do that. I want to do that.
Okay.
All right. We'll do a test run sometime. Do it sometime the next couple of days. We'll do a Pastor Jamel Brown has spoken. Phil reacts.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there's going to be some good stuff. Jeff from Indiana says, I wonder if those condoms come in. Looks in their mind. I'm not going to read the rest of it. John M. from Huntsville says, that pastor just proves that because you go into McDonald's, it does not make you a hamburger. I think what he's saying is he ain't much of a pastor.
I would say, yes, I agree.
Yeah. He's from the Church of Free Will, I guess. I don't know. Adam from Athens says, we got to go Vols from Phil. Now it's your turn, JP.
Let's try.
JP. I mean,
can't do it. I can't do it.
I didn't ask you to.
No,
in fact, I really had a bad taste in my mouth after I did it.
Yeah, I would need like a bag to throw up in after saying it.
It's like when you bite into something and realize it has jalapenos, you didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
Lee from Huntsville says, did Dale say he has his wife carry him down the stairs each morning? She is long suffering for sure. He did say something about being carried down the stairs. He didn't say his wife.
Dale's biggest traffic on the way to work is dodging Grant and his wife getting to his studio. That's Dale's traffic every morning.
That's his traffic, yeah. You're in the way. I got to get my coffee.
Yeah.
My energy drink. Okay. Mike from Athens says, Mike from Athens, what's he saying? Send him another 1,000 to keep the left from breeding. Oh, he's okay. Jamel Brown, the 1,000 condoms. That is to me, that's got to be one of the funniest stories I've heard in a while. Brian from Decatur says, it's not about finding something satisfactory or not pertaining to the Epstein files. It's the fact that these people submitted juveniles to numerous major figures over the years, and yet no one person has been named, nor arrested, nor charged. I agree with that. They said, you're absolutely right. The concern of the Epstein files will never be satiated until someone actually goes to jail. No one can tell me they don't know who is there with all the videos they confiscated. So, Brian, I'm not arguing that point. I'm really not. The problem is, what we've got is not a conviction. And until it's a conviction, it's a defamation if you release it. So if they're going to go after somebody, then I say, by God, go after them. But you can't release them when it's something that is sure to destroy someone's life without yet having a conviction. That's the problem, Brian. It's not a question of whether we want to see. We just want to know. Well, the public's right to know does not outweigh the rights of justice. So, Attorney Phil talking here for a minute. You can destroy someone's life with a mere allegation, especially when it's tied to something as prurient and as overwhelmingly well known as the Epstein files. So let's say I have a mass crime that I'm investigating. Let's say I'm in the middle of, indicting dozens of people, and somewhere in there, I just loosely say, I think Brian from Decatur might be involved. I don't know that. You're not convicted. You haven't even been indicted, but you've just now been implicated in the court of public opinion, and you might lose your job. You could have people that don't want to associate with you anymore. Contracts you have at work can be dropped. People don't want to be a part of your small group at church. Who knows? All I'm saying is you can't go just releasing things until there's something there that's either indictable or convictable. And if you don't have that, then all you're doing is creating a defamation lawsuit for the government to deal with. And that's the problem they're facing right now. I think it was, I still go back to what Dan Bongino said. Bongino was in my position. He was a radio show guy, and then he went to the FBI. And he said, I used to get paid to have opinions. Now I get paid to deal with facts. And that's the case. Nofre from Lexington says, I'm not in the boat of firing DeBoer. He said, I'm not in the boat on firing DeBoer, but I am standing on the pier. Wow.
I think that's fair.
Standing, okay. It's one game, dude.
We went 9-4 last year. Bama doesn't go 9-4. Okay, that's just not what we do. So
that's not how we roll.
The first season opener loss in 23 years. But it's like I said, it's not the fact we lost; it's how we lost. That is concerning. So I think.
You mean the fact that you lost to an unranked team?
No, it's the fact that we got physically dominated, and that's just not what we've done.
Okay, well, I was going to say that, but you said it for me, so there you go.
We did. It's concerning.
Yes.
We'll see the Iron Bowl this year. It's a long season.
I didn't say anything. I held my tongue, although people with live stream could see the look on my face.
Yes.
Tim from Madison said Ty Simpson's a horrible quarterback. I don't think that's true. I think he's a great quarterback. You can't. Okay, listen, I will jump in on this. It is way too soon to say that. Ty Simpson got his first start, right? That was his first start?
First start ever.
First start, but he's been with the program now for 3 years?
5. He redshirt freshman, and then I believe 5. I think so. Or he's been there 4, and this is his redshirt senior year, I believe. But yeah, he sat behind Bryce and Jalen Milroe. So he's done his time to wait.
He didn't jump into the portal and leave.
Nope.
He didn't. And he earned the right to be on the field. So I cannot, and you can't be. Listen, okay. Just being a starting quarterback in the SEC alone is huge. Being a starting quarterback at Alabama is huger.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as big as being at Auburn. Chris from Starrett says, go Vols. There you go. Joe in Tennessee says, Barrett 50 cal from 700 yards might be in Maduro's future. I don't know, man. I don't know. TC from Priceville, final last text. He says, Phil, don't you realize the boat was full of Maryland fathers? Oh, my goodness. Got the whole MSNBC mantra going there.
They just wanted a better life here.
They did.
They were coming over with drugs and a boat they were coming over to start nice lives.
They were using it for a deposit on their new house.
Be law-abiding citizens, yeah.
Outstanding. Take me to a break, JP. I ran out of time. We'll take a break. We'll come right back and wrap the day. Phil Williams on Hump Day. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back.
Mother's womb. God made you who you were before you were even born. He knew you, he knit you, he put you on this world for a certain purpose. And the New Testament tells us so that he's placed every man in his time and his specific dwelling so that he might reach out and find God. So he placed us here to find him, to be able to see this is who God is, right? The Godhead, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. So I do believe that aspect of it, but he made you a certain way, right? He made you to find him, but he also made you a certain way to share him with the world around. I don't believe, what I've learned is I don't believe everybody's like, oh, yeah, they trained you that way in BUD/S, or they trained you that way to be a SEAL. No, that's not what they're doing. Notice everything I've talked about is a selection process. It's a constant selection process. And even once you get there, once you get to a SEAL team, once you get to in an instructor role, once you get to development group for the guys that go special mission unit, it's still a selection process for those individuals. Even once they make it there, you have to continually perform. And I would say that for me, that's what it taught me. They don't train you to do anything. I mean, they train you in some ways. They hone you, make you better. But the end goal, especially for buds, is to find, is this the individual that we want to become a SEAL?
Yeah.
For sniper school, is this the individual that we want to become a sniper? I'm already a sniper, right? They just find me. I'm already a SEAL. They just find me. I'm already a Tier 1, a Special Mission Unit SEAL, Development Group SEAL. They just find me. Does that make sense? And that's all of their processes that they're doing in every aspect. Then you get out of the SEAL teams. I'm already an operator, but the CIA finds me for the specific thing they want, or the DIA finds me for the specific thing that they want. They don't really teach you to become anything.
Who was it? Was it maybe Michelangelo who said that the art that he is sculpting is already in the stone? And I'm super paraphrasing.
He just reveals it.
He just reveals it.
That's exactly
his job is to bring it out.
I would say that's the biggest thing that I've learned is that individual, wherever you're at, you know, wherever you're at within your community, or whatever, that individual is already there. For me in the SEAL teams, I was already a SEAL. They just found me, and there's not many guys. That's why we have such a high attrition rate, right? And then you go to the next step, like sniper school. That's why we have such a high attrition rate at sniper school. These guys are SEALs, but they're not a sniper. That's why you have such a high attrition rate in development group for the guys that go over SEAL Team 6. These guys are already SEALs. They're top-level operators. But we need something different for this. Does that make sense?
It does.
So that's kind of the flow. And that's probably what it taught me, is that everything is finding out, are you the person that can be this? Not training you to be the person to be that, which I find interesting because, again, it's a scriptural principle.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I think we find problems in this world. We either desire to be things that we weren't made to be. We shouldn't do that, right? It's the guy with the 1 talent, the 5 talents, and the 10 talents.
Well, boys outside his gifts.
Yeah, that's right. You know, if you're outside your gifts, you don't desire to be something that you weren't made to be.
Yeah.
And be the best thing that you can be. It doesn't matter if it's a dang garbage truck driver. My granddaddy, he's a farmer. He loves farming. He loves digging in the dirt. And I was at his house this morning, and that's what he was going over, showing me his plants that he built a little greenhouse for. It's a piece of plastic draped over some cross ties or some sawhorses with cross ties on top of it. Because plants were $4.99 now, and he wasn't about to do that. He can put one seed in a little bowl and have 80 plants for less than $12, right? So he's in his 80s, but that's the way God made him. Are you being what God made you to be, or are you trying to be something else? And that's what the SEAL teams finds out. It finds out the posers. It finds out the frauds.
It does. All right, so multiple deployments.
Yeah.
Some, I assume, non-combat and some combat.
Yeah, so I mean, all of our deployments would have been considered a combat deployment, but not every deployment, like what I mentioned to you, the checking into Team 3, not every deployment meant, even though it was a combat deployment for the team, meant that I was necessarily involved directly in combat.
Right. So how many and where?
So as far as the Navy is concerned, 3 sea service deployments, but my last deployment, because it was a year long, and even the one to Afghanistan was a year long, but I rotated in later than some of the other guys. We rotated in and out of 9 countries, and I'll name them all here in a second. We'll see if I get my number right. But you got the Iraqi, Iraq, but what's it called?
OIF, Iraqi Freedom.
Yeah, Operation Iraqi Freedom, OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom.
Right.
They call it all something different now, right?
Oh,
Everything's changed. Went to Jordan twice. Went to Bahrain twice. Went to Korea twice. Went to Yemen once. Ported in Oman. So, I mean, I got stamps for Oman, I guess. You could say I went to Oman.
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just closing. I mean, like making common sense like a superpower. All right, so John from Huntsville has the grades in. Dale Jackson, Jeff Poor get an A- for their just okay performances. Dale Strong gets an A+ for his strong performance. Oh, I said the pun here. Phil gets an A++ for his spectacular performance. Means today's winner is obviously the brilliant JP with a perfect A++. Congratulations. Also, I predict you will take first place position away from me in our pick'em group this Saturday.
Yeah, I think John beat me by one game, unfortunately.
Oh, which game?
I don't know off the top of my head, but he beat me by one, I believe. I'm coming for it next week.
Probably Alabama, because you picked Alabama, I'm sure.
I did, yeah.
There you go. All right, let me go right to the phones because Jeff Rowe from Indiana is on the line. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Welcome back after your long vacation.
Yeah, AT&T gave me a separate day off. What do you think?
Sounds like you did all right, I guess.
All I know is
phone lines and these radio programs in Alabama just don't mix, I think.
I don't
Dale
know.
Jackson had a really bad time with his lines for a while too.
Did he really? No, I didn't know that. Yeah, we had some kind of severe outage for AT&T fiber all across our region. Like the outage map was lit up, and they said it was going to take 10 hours to get it done. Well, that was like what 45 minutes before showtime. So we're like,
I think at 1:15. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, okay, guess we're not doing a show today. But we're back, Jeff. We're back.
You're just going to have to call Elon Musk up and see if you can get on Starlink, I guess.
Yeah. So actually, one of our texters texted us that. Maybe we should just get on the Starlink.
That's you know what? Call Elon. Make that happen.
I'll get him on speed dial.
Okay. Well, what do you think, man? We've been talking about a lot of stuff today. We did the war on cartels. We did Space Command. We even did the guy running for governor, Jamel Brown, giving away condoms. What's your pleasure? What do you want to talk about?
Maduro.
Maduro.
Maduro. Now, they got, what, $50 million on this guy's head if they can bring him to justice or whatever. I wonder if that includes bring him to justice in a body bag or not.
I don't know. I bet I do think his days are numbered, at least in office. I don't know if they're going to wind up taking him out, but I don't think he's going to hang around much longer.
Well, I don't know. Last time I looked, I think the Venezuelan currency was, took a wheelbarrow load just to buy a loaf of bread. So what would $50 million do there?
Yes. Well, $50 million would get you out of the country where you could buy a hacienda in another country, Costa Rica or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should get sweet in the pot and saying, if you take him out, we'll give you $50 million and American citizenship to boot. So there you go. That would be one way of getting over here and being able to spend your money.
So witness protection program, make you one of the richest people in your state. Come on in. We'll take you. That would be, I'm wishing I had information to give on him right now.
Yeah. I wonder where he'll flee to if this goes down, because he's going to be hard to get away from that anywhere he goes.
I don't know.
Cuba will take him in or not.
I don't know where he'll go. I imagine he'll go to Russia. Right now, he's been consorting with Russia and China, and so I don't know. I would suspect he'll go to some other socialist, but Cuba, who knows? But I doubt if they'll take him. Right now, what we're seeing, I didn't even get to it in my stuff this morning or earlier, but a lot of the usual friendly South American, Central American countries are distancing themselves from Maduro right now. They want no part of him.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice, I guess, to take it into the U.S. territory. That way you could spend Christmas and summertime down there.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go, but it's not going to be the governor's palace. I know that. Oh, brother, hey, the music's playing. I gotta take off. But blessings on you, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Have a good one.
All right. See you, buddy. All right. Hey, listen, by the way, I'll say it real quick. There's more of us than there are of them. God is still on his throne. Y'all stay in the fight. We'll see you tomorrow.